me press.
She cooks nothing but chuck wagons, stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch! She's the flower of the devoured goat.
Remember the good old days when we just used to do these Aaron live, last second live streams. I just come on and I draw or I do something. And I've kind of gotten away from that because, well, there's so much pressure. How can I entertain the masses? How can I do it? And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And if I'm not entertaining, that's on you because you tuned in. So no, really what's happening is I realized that we had technically today is the 30-day closeout. 30-day closeout. It's like rabbit ears for Wraith of God 3, which just stunned me. I was like, 30 days. That campaign's been open 30 days already. Wow. So that's, officially you kind of got to do this. You got to do it. You got to represent, you got to, I've done a piss poor job of promoting this book because I've been preoccupied with shipping out Kit Carter. Kit Carter. Now this is Kit Carter Plan Doom. This is the hardcover. Sadly, this is a damaged hardcover. And those of you who backed the campaign know, because I sent an update to keep you guys in the loop, but every single one of these spines was damaged. Every single one of them. Well, except for 24, which I sent out. So these had to go back to press. And they're, as of Monday, as of Tuesday, and as far as I know, as of today, these are supposed to ship out to me tomorrow, which means I'll probably have these on Monday, which means then finally, those of you who've been waiting for your hardcovers, they're going to start going out. We've shipped about just every solo order we can with soft covers. And if you ordered and you have soft covers and hardcover in your order, we didn't want to split it up because it was afraid this is going to get confusing and we're going to forget to ship this guy something, or we're going to ship this guy twice and all that kind of stuff. So if you were a hardcover buyer, which means you were, and this is the kind that ticks me off, you were one of the guys or people that supported at a very high level, you're last to get your books. And that really ticked me off. But I could not ship out damaged books. I wouldn't do it. And so I didn't do it. So anyway, we're going to get these very soon, shipping out from the printer on Friday. So yay. Now, these are what's been going out is the soft cover with the great Chris Stevens painted cover on it. The insides, in terms of the story and the color and all that kind of stuff, are the same on both books. This, however, the hardcover does have an additional gallery section in the back, which I can't show you because if I showed you the gallery section, I would show you the last page of the story, and you probably don't want to see that if you haven't read it yet. So this has a gallery, and it comes signed and numbered to 750 copies. That's it. And yeah, there'll be some extras of these, and there is some extras of these that will go up on the website once everything is shipped out to all the backers and everybody's got their stuff. So we have shipped out 725 orders. So it's not like we're sitting around doing nothing. We are shipping. But in the meantime, we're trying to raise money for Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow. And that's what I'm doing tonight. So I don't know how long we'll go because I know tonight's the Jack show and there's other things going on. So I do not want to seem silly to be streaming against those types of shows. Obviously, even if I was invited, I wouldn't go on the Jack show. It's a little too adult for my tastes. I'm not, not besmirching it at all, but I probably would not be comfortable, very comfortable on that show, even if I was invited on, which I never have been, and I wouldn't expect to be. But I'm just saying, but I'm not going to stream against them either. That would be dumb. So we're going to do a little bit of stuff here. Maybe I've invited some friends to come on. We'll see if they show up or not. People are busy. I know how it is. And so what we're going to do is kind of raise awareness and try and get this book more funded tonight. How about that? Let's see who's here first of all. Stealth X5 is joining us. Citizen Ronan. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Jason McQueeston. I wish I could stay and watch live. Wish I could back even more. Hope Wraith of 3 crosses the 100K line and then some. Cheers. Yeah, if it doesn't, it'll be the first one that doesn't. So I'd be very sad. Tears will flow from my eyes. Dave Pietro's here. He says, "Hey, Aaron, maybe last second, but always entertaining." Well, we'll find out, won't we? Comics Legends is here. John Porton, got my Kit Carter. Love the story and your artwork, Mr. Lopresti. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Pastmaster Dan is joining us. Toshiro is here as well. Who else we got? Randy Howell, all the way from Canada. Kit Carter arrived today. Look at that. See, he actually got one of the hardcovers. You know why? Because Randy's been around since the very beginning. And I thought I only had 24 hardcovers to send out and waiting for the new batch to come in. I thought I'm giving one to Randy. Randy's been around and I appreciate Randy's support over the years. And so we got it out to him. And as is the nature of Canadian Post, it takes forever to get there. So I mailed it out like 3 weeks ago and he's just now getting it. So Henry Jeremy's here. How about that? What else we got going on? Marcus Killer Group, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge. And Marcus, you'll be glad you showed up because we're going to do an opening. You see that box behind me? That box behind me? That, my friends, is an old comic book. And we're going to crack that thing open and take a look in a minute. Let's see. JDC is here. How about that? Jim Corder, I got my copy the other day, finished reading last night. Loved it. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that very much. JDC says, I got mine earlier this week, and it's not only a beautiful package, but the artwork is incredible, as well as a good story. Well done. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Art of Roy says, I have the hard and soft sketchbook, and I believe the poster too. Yeah, Roy, those will be going out next week. So hang in there. Appreciate you backing like you did. Evil One, Chris, going to see the new Venom flick. I hit the like. Thank you. And thank you for the $2. Well, enjoy the Venom flick. Is that where the aliens attack? I think it is. Flady One, Aaron, you are a class act. Wow. Thank you very much. Got my package with handwritten note about the delays on the missing items. Can't wait to read them this weekend. Thank you, Flady. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, let's see who else we got here. Panther God 414 says, evening, Aaron. Well, evening to you as well. Lord Henson, Comics Gator. JDC for $4.99. Didn't I just read this? Got my kit book this week. Beautiful package, incredible artwork, and enjoyable story. Well done. Thanks for always putting your books out on time. Well, as close as I can on time. This one, thank you, first of all, JDC, for the $4.99, and thank you for the kind words. This one, we had some production problems, And I don't want to, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but some things didn't get done when I was hoping they would get done. And then we missed the our initial print date, which put me behind the 8 ball. And then they screwed up the print order, which then put us farther behind. So, and a book that was designed to come out in about 6 months and be a quick turnaround turned out to be the longest book it's ever taken me to get out. But we stay on top of it, work as hard as we can, as fast as we can to get those things out to you guys. Sometimes stuff happens and I apologize for it. It's my responsibility because I am the publisher, but I can only do, if certain links in the chain break, we repair those links and then we move forward, and there are sometimes delays, and I apologize for those. Victor Shade, my third Wraith of God. I missed Kit Carter. When can I buy that? Actually, because I'm shipping right now. Here's the thing, you guys. If you don't have Kit Carter and you want to get Kit Carter, you can just contact me through my website, aaronlopresti.com, and or you can just email me at aaronlopresti.com and say, hey, I want to get one. And I'll just add you to the list of people that are getting stuff shipped out, and we can just do a transaction through PayPal or Venmo or whatever works easiest for you. So that's the quick answer to that. Otherwise, you can wait until all the shipment is complete, and then those books will go up on my website, the extras I have, and you can order them then. They'll be probably a little bit more expensive. So Stealth X5 for $2. Hello, thank you, Stealth, appreciate it. Robert Doan's Pills joining us. Randy Howell, $2, all the way from Canada, who's now a wrench. Randy is. I feel privileged going to read Kit Carter tonight. Great. Thank you. Wolverine joining us. The green laser is here. Yeah, well, see, you got the 3-pack. The 3-pack has the hardcover in it, the soft cover, and the sketchbook, I believe. And that is why you don't have it, because all those go in the same box together. And I'm not splitting up orders, because that's when things get confused. And I make enough mistakes as it is when shipping. So when the hardcovers come in, your books, your 3-pack will go out. And that's supposed to ship out on Friday of this week. So that's tomorrow. And then I should be getting them early next week. And then I'm going to start, going to shipping immediately. I'm not messing around. So that's the story on that, and I'm sticking to it. Ellie, the final metamorphosis, is here. Let's see. Daryl Wayne. Venom 3 was okay. The story didn't seem to flow very well, but isn't that kind of what they say about all the Venom movies? That they're but they do really, really well. So apparently most people like them, even though Kelsey did do an excellent job on the colors. Will Wraith be going in demand? Just went back to work and still in demand. Oh yeah. That's the thing with a 30-day. We're just trying to drum up a little bit of excitement midway through, and the tension, right? Will he extend the campaign or not? Will he do it? Well, we'll find out tonight. Okay, I think I got everybody there. Thank you, Frankie's here. I haven't gotten it yet. No rush. I'm patient. Excellent. And again, like I said, if there's a hardcover in your order, you more than likely have not received it yet, and because there isn't any. So I'm not going to ship you air. But next week we're really going to be sending these suckers out. So hang in there. And there's no rhyme or reason. We're not doing it alphabetically or whatever. Shelly she goes in and she tries to jump around so that she doesn't feel like whoever's name starts with a Z gets the book last, that kind of thing. So, but we're, like I said, we filled over 725 orders. So that's like, we're halfway home. So I know that there's 500 and some orders with hard covers that haven't been filled. And those are what will hit immediately, because all the soft covers are out unless they're tied to a hardcover. And then those go together. So we're going to start shipping immediately. When I receive those books, we'll start shipping out hardcover, softcover orders. You guys that ordered the Kit Carter Completist, you get the big box with the poster and everything in it. Those will start going out. I send out like 4 or 5 of them, I think. But that's all we had books for. So there you go. That's enough of my excuses. Let's take a look at the campaign, see what I'm talking about. because after all, this is one humongo infomercial tonight. No, there'll be stuff. Here we go. So it's Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow, The Wraith and Esther. This is number 3. This is a third installment of this graphic novel series. Isn't that amazing to even think that at this point? But they go back to Cranestown, New England. Get it? Crane, Ichabod Crane. Get it? And where the Wraith faced off with the Headless Horseman 20 years earlier when he was just a wee lad. And so we get some of the backstory there, a little bit more origin of the Wraith. And we find out that there's some villains from his past that are resurfacing. And they all come together in this effort against the Wraith here in this really important story in the overall story arc of the Wraith. So you don't want to miss this one. So the Headless Horseman, there's a witch involved, and then there's another guy, a mysterious villain, who we set up in Wraith of God Blood Hunters. That's Wraith of God 2, by the way. He menaced the sheriff in that Arizona town, and for a couple pages. We set him up a little bit. He'll be back in this one as well. So there's all kinds of stuff going on here. You really, really don't want to miss this one, because I think if you do, you'll kind of feel like you've read 1 and 2, and then when 4 comes out, you'll be going, man, I should have read 3. That had some really important stuff in it. So anyway, so what does this campaign look like? You've got 4 cover options. Wraith of God, this is cover A. This is the main cover, if you will. Cover B, this is the EC cover. And EC tribute cover. And then we go back to 1972, the Marvel 1972 box, whatever they call these box frame covers, which I happen to love. And I've done one for every one of my Wraith campaigns, which I didn't even realize I had done it until I looked back and went, oh, well, I guess now I have to do one every single Wraith campaign, which wasn't going to hurt my feelings because I love these things. Great nostalgia feeling there. Or if you want something with a little bit more modern flair, you can get Chris Stevens' painted cover. Or you can get all 4. There's a package up there on the perks side, on the right side there, where you can get all 4 at a discount. And so that's a way to go there. This has created a lot of buzz. The backup story here by David Williams featuring Impyrus and our good friend Eon Chance. This is the origin of Impyrus. If you want to know who Impyrus is, well, he's a trading card with little information on him in the Kit Carter campaign. Which everybody got. Those are stretch goals. So when you get your package, you'll have an Impyrus card in there that David Williams drew. And then also, if you go way back to the first campaign, there was an Impyrus sticker, part of that big sticker set I did with various characters. And I drew that one. So he's a major player in what we call the Loprestiverse around here. So we thought, well, we better get an origin story for him so we can get him involved in things in the future. So that's the backup story, but it's not going unless we hit 100K, and we're only halfway there. So because I got to have enough money to actually pay David to do the rest of the story. So that's the goal. You can get this Wraith of God Nouveau print, and it's, kind of a Art Nouveau tribute. I don't know why I thought to do this, but I thought, this might be kind of a cool idea, kind of feature Esther with the long flowing gown and very Muka-esque, fit in there very nicely. So that's why I went that route. You can get the Ruffs Volume 3, which is a ash can sized little square bound booklet that has 48 pages of layouts in it. So you can basically look at the pages from the very design stage, the layout stage, and then you can compare them to the finished product in the book. And it's a nice way to kind of, see all facets of the process that I go through to make a comic book page. The Nightclub shot glass. Now there's a series of 6 total shot glasses. The first one was a Wraith of God. The second one was Garbage Man. I happen to have a Garbage Man shot glass sitting right there. There it is. There it is. So these are laser etched with the logos in the shot glass. So they won't, you put them in the washing machine or the dishwasher, they're not going to wash off. And Nightclub is the third in this series. Now, Nightclub is a super team that we had a backup story in Wraith of God Blood Hunters featuring them. And they also, Mr. Midnight appeared in the 3-page epilogue in Wraith of God 1. So we do have some, and they also in the Garbage Man trade paperback, you'll find the Nightclub. So they will be the third shot class. And so we had, I'm sorry, this is the fourth shot class. I'm hiring a kite because Kit Carter's shot glass was in the Kit Carter campaign. So you have Wraith of God, Garbage Man, Kit Carter, and now the Nightclub will be number 4. And there's going to be 6 total. And then we'll have a nice little, like a little holder for all the shot classes. So it's very cool. You can get this set of 3 poker chips. I wanted to do like a set of like 50 so you could actually, play with them. So expensive. I was like, maybe 5 people would have bought them. They'd be charging like $150 for a set of poker chips. Like, forget it. I'm not doing that. So we're doing this 3 poker chips commemorative set. So you got the Wraith, you got Esther, and then you got Keon's werewolf in there. So they're really nice clay heavy chips. And then of course you can get Wraith of God 1, the second printing, or Wraith of God number 2, which is Wraith of God Blood Hunters. You can get the wraparound cover. And also the other covers are available through my website, but I didn't want to list them all on this campaign. It's just getting a little convoluted. So anyway, that's what you can do. You can get caught up on your Wraith reading if you haven't so far. So anyway, we want to encourage you to back tonight if you possibly can. Let's see, what's our starting point here? 53,902. We need to get this to at least 55 tonight. We'll give it the old college try. Appreciate all you guys being here. Please hit the like and subscribe if you have not done so. It helps the channel grow. We're over 4,000 subs now, so we're well on our way to superstardom. By the time I'm 70, we'll probably hit 10. Randy Howell for $5 Canadian. Thank you. Public service announcement for those watching on X and Twitter. The Wraith 3 campaign link is included as a reply to this post. And that's why I gave him a wrench. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it very, very much. Henry Jermick says, Aaron, all the covers are great, but I like the Gil Kane one the best. Old school in my blood. I do too. I like that ridiculous yellow frame on there. I was looking at the colors that they used, generally speaking. They had a black one, a white one, yellow, red, and a blue. Occasionally used a blue. So they had those 5. That's usually what they used. And I thought, I'm going to go yellow because it'll just shock people. And I did, and I loved it. So, yeah. Rename the stream to Wraith Beards for Halloween. Our Halloween episode would be Wednesday, or closest to Halloween will be this coming Wednesday, right? And John Malin's supposed to be joining us, so that could be a crazy time. You don't want to miss that on Graybeards. Every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 Eastern. Oh my gosh, green laser. Okay, so let's get this show on the road, as they say. I know you guys are dying to find out what I spent money on. And so let me switch cameras here, and hopefully it won't go kaput on me. My camera's been pretty good to me recently, so let's hope it continues to do so. Yay, it worked. Okay, so here we go. I'm not even sure. I ordered 3 books this past week. When I say ordered, I mean I bought 3 books this past week. I hate opening these things. I could have saved you the grief and opened it before it came on, but this is a last second live stream. So what do you expect? The FedEx ones have a little. Bear with me here while I cut this open. I don't want to knock my camera around while I'm trying to rip this sucker open. Okay, here we go. Oh boy, this is like one of those Chinese puzzles. There's a box in a box. Here we go. So yeah, so there's a box in a box. All right, that one's gone. Now let's open this one. I do like the fact that they protect these things. Wait, did I order from the same dude? Because there's 2 books in here. I wasn't even paying attention. I must have bought 2 books from the same guy. How about that? Well, that's convenient. Let's see. Okay. I don't like to show the cover. I like to flip it over, and get that sort of. All right. Are we ready, folks? Here we go. It's Fantastic Four. Ooh, 74, 9-2, baby. 1968. How about that? Galactus and Silver Surfer appearance. That is why I got it. I don't collect the FF, but I do collect Galactus and Silver Surfer appearances. So, of course, this has Kirby inked by Sinnott on the cover and inside. Let me tell you something. If you're a collector, the best time to buy is this time of year in the fall. Not only does the economy suck, which is also lowering prices, but Christmas time, you find people are not willing to spend money like they are in the spring and summer. So if you buy in the fall, more than likely you're going to get a good deal, especially if someone is got enough guts to put something like this up for auction. Now, the fair market value on this book is like $500. However, because sales have been dropping on these books, and when I say these books, I mean all books, except probably Golden Age. The last sale on this was, it's basically about a $350 to $400 book price wise, and I got it for less than $3. So I got just a tremendous deal on this. But someone put it up for auction, and those are, sometimes you get a really great deal, and sometimes, you get a couple people that really want it, and it goes high. This did not. So I got a steal on this book, which I'm quite pleased with. So anyway, yeah, 9-2. And I know Graham Nolan, he'd rip this open and go read it in his thing chair, but I will not. I have Marvel Essentials, so I can read this anytime I want to without affecting the overall value of this really nice book. So there you go, 9-2. How about that? So that's one. Let's see. That's two. Craig I just packaged your artwork up, actually, and that's going out tomorrow. Open it up, you coward. I'm not a coward. Look, you spend good money on a book. You want to maintain the value of that book. That's just called good economics. Okay. I'm like the Milton Friedman of comics, and hopefully some of you are old enough to get that. All right, here we go. Now, this one was I already have a copy of this, but not slabbed. And yes, it is the first cover appearance of our friend the Man-Thing. It's his third overall appearance, which is really odd. His first appearance is in Savage Tales #1. His second appearance is in Astonishing Tales featuring Kazar #12, which I have. And then I also have a copy of this, but it's not quite in near mint. It has a couple dings in it. And I saw this and I thought, well, if this stays low, and by low, I mean less than $100, which is exactly what it did. So I got this for less than $100, and it's a $130, $140 book. So once again, getting in on an auction in the fall paid dividends for me. Mark of the Man-Thing. And look, we have our box cover So that means this is 1972, and gosh darn it, it is August 1972. Man-Thing and Barbara Morse appearance. I don't know who Barbara Morse is, but apparently I thought it was worth mentioning that she's in here. So you got Roy Thomas story. John Buscema and Dan Adkins did the art inside, but Rich Buckler did the cover. Interesting. There it is, Rich Buckler right there. How about that? So I got one more book coming. These I got on an eBay auction. And then the other is coming from My Comic Shop. If you haven't shopped in My Comic Shop, there's good deals to be had there as well. They have their own inventory, but they also do consignment books. So they have a lot of good stuff on there, generally speaking. So anyway, there you go. Third appearance of Man-Thing, first cover appearance of Man-Thing. And why is Kazar running around in his pants with a belt on, but no shirt or shoes? This is back in the hippie days, man. You go into a restaurant, no shirt, no shoes, no service. So that Kazar is going to have a fine time. Well, of course, he's in the swamp, so I don't know that he's necessarily looking to, get a sit-down dinner. But still, you got to question his attire. How come he doesn't have his Kazar loincloth or something? I don't know. Wearing pants. I'll crack open my other copy and read the story again and see if I can determine why Kazar is dressed in the way that he is. There you go. Astonishing Tales number 13. Lucky number 13. That, folks, is... Let's give a plug to Noble Nostalgia. That's who I bought it from. Ooh, they have really... Look, that's a nice business card right there. Rare collectibles, comics, video games, and posters. Ooh, I wonder if they have movie posters. They ship worldwide, baby. There you go. Very nice. Well packaged. So you're getting a thumbs up for Noble Nostalgia. There you go. Let's see here. Smelly hippies. That's exactly right. All right. Well, let's return to me for a moment here. There I am. How did I miss the human hand? I don't know what that means exactly. It says Dan Adkins on the inks. Are you talking about the cover or the interior? Because on the inside, yeah, Buscema inked by Adkins. Buscema, as much as I love Buscema, he does not draw particularly good Man-Thing. Just saying, I don't know why. He draws everything else great, but I don't like his Man-Thing. And don't clip that, by the way. What, Man-Thing has a human hand on the cover, does he? Let's see. Well, you know what happened here? Somebody screwed up on the somebody screwed up on the coloring, right? Because it's a lumpy hand with a, it's got like a pointy fingernail. So I think it's drawn okay. I think somebody just got confused and didn't color it green. And I don't know why you would make that mistake unless whoever was coloring the book thought, is that a guy in a costume? I don't even know who that is. And maybe they wouldn't know because it's only the third appearance of the Man-Thing. So, but once again, now see, if I ordered a book and it came like this, I'd reprint it. But back in the good old days, for a 20-cent comic book, you're going to take the wrong colored hand. Just like when they would color parts of Spider-Man's costume, like flesh tone, that was always sort of unnerving. Like his blue pants, sometimes they'd color it flesh and you're like, is he swinging naked? What is going on here? And, but it happened. Not in this day and age, baby. We're on top of that stuff in this modern age of comics. If somebody's swinging around without his pants on, it's because they meant it to be that way. It was Aru. That's a good point. He could be a Scooby-Doo villain in a costume to scare Kazar from the buried treasure. He might be onto something there. I hadn't thought of that. You know what book I want to get? Let me show you what book I want to get. And it's so expensive now, so I can't see myself buying it, but you never know. You know, your economy takes a turn. Suddenly I'm not paying $20 for a dozen eggs, and you can save your pennies and put something together here. But it's a gold key comic. Holy crap. I can't believe you're charging that much for that book. All right, here we go. Allow me to share. You guys are on the edge of your seat, I'm sure. There it is. Okay. Now, this is not a great cover. I hate it when they split it up into like frames, you know, on the cover. I'd rather it just be one like sort of dynamic image. This guy's got a 9.2 of this on eBay right now. He's charging over $4,000 for it, which is way too much. I believe it's more in that $1,500 to $2,000 range in near mint. I'd have to check. I haven't checked in a while. But if this had a great cover, I'd be more incentivized to buy it. But God, that cover sucks. And if you're getting books that are slabbed, you want the covers to be good because that's what you're looking at all the time is the cover, right? Wolverine, they're still talking about Kazar, though. He's just saying he's a little more than a grown-up commandy, really. I liked Kazar. I always did because he was in the Savage Land. And I guess what I'm telling you is I really like the Savage Land. There was a book that came out in the 70s that I liked because it had a bunch of dinosaurs in it. And the problem was I bought the collection of this, like the trade paperback or whatever, and reread them. They suck. This is like one of the worst comics I've ever read in my life. But I loved it when I was a kid. It was Skull the Slayer. Now, see, he's got pants on and a boot, but he dropped the shirt because you're in the Savage Land. It's like, you don't want to be sweating in your shirt. It's, in the jungle. It's hot, but why would you wear long pants? I don't know. But anyway, so Skull the Slayer, he's an ex-con or he's a convict, perhaps wrongfully charged, sort of like Luke Cage, I guess. And they're transporting him in this plane that happens to go down and falls into this crevasse and ends up in the, this basically the Savage Land, although they're not calling it the Savage Land, but it would have to be, right? If you're all part of the same Marvel universe, you can only have like one Savage Land. Citizen Ronan says long pants are easier to draw. That's Doc Savage wore a shirt. Yeah, but he wasn't in the Savage Land. He was running around 1930s. He had to wear a shirt. He can get away going shirtless back then. Marcus says Dell probably used panels from the story to make that. They probably did. Save a little money so they didn't actually have to draw the cover. But anyway, so I want you guys to know I do have a near mint copy of this book, but it sucks. Okay. So I was very disappointed. And, I was a big Doc Savage fan too. And I do actually have the entire series of Doc Savage. Had some really nice covers in that run. Let's take a look. I think this is Buckler too. I can sense Shelley behind me.
Just lurking.
Shelley is in the house. Just lurking slightly off camera. There you can see her hand.
In some pajamas.
Don't want to break those.
Shelley, you're a Doc Savage fan. What do you think of Doc Savage?
I think it's awesome.
She used to be
I laughed my butt off.
Should we say a vociferous reader, and ran out of paperback material many years ago. And she said, "Do you have anything I can read?" And I said, "I got these Doc Savage books." And so she read a couple of them.
Like, gimme.
And so I think she's read more Doc Savage books than I have.
Probably written in double digits or read double digits numbers worth.
And I kept telling her, don't bend the cover back and crease it.
Yeah.
So even my paperbacks, I get a little testy if they.
You think?
Yeah. Everybody's cheering for Shelley. There you go.
Yay.
Wolverine, Pastmaster Dan, the Green Laser,
Hi,
John Porton.
Yeah, it's been a week.
That's right. Her reconstructive surgery. She's still in pain, but improving. Went to the doctor today. They said, "Hey, everything looks good." So there you go.
My skin is grouchy, but that's okay. What did she say? Your skin is so sensitive.
Yes, very sensitive. So you don't want to insult Shelley's. Sensitive. You don't want to insult Shelley's skin because it gets a little uptight. A little uptight. She gets that way. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the one I was looking for.
Well, darn it.
Well, our friend Jim Stranko, good old conservative Jim Stranko, big Trump supporter, takes a lot of crap from the industry, but you know what? He's a legend. So screw everybody else. That's what I say. He did a couple covers for Doc Savage. Here's number 3, not to be confused with number 2. Silver Death's Head. I
read were the colors like were needed.
Well, but you weren't reading the comics. You were reading the paperback.
Oh, true.
The James Bama painted coverback.
True.
That's right. It was so true. But there's a nice Stranko cover there. This series only won 8 issues, though, sadly, before it was canceled. But I loved it as a kid. So there you go. A little Stranko action there. All right. Since the main purpose of this stream is to sell my products.
I better get out of here because I am not like one of the Bob Barker babes.
That's right. You're not prepared to go. And here's Carol Merrill to show you what you've won.
My pajamas.
And
the yuckiness that is known as Shelley after surgery.
Mm-hmm.
We get the drain out on Monday.
Let's not get too gross.
And then I'll be a happy camper. We'll see.
So there you go. So yeah.
There you have it, folks. You heard it from them.
And then we're going to work really hard to get Shelley back on the Sunday show.
Yeah.
So
that's the plan.
Anyway, folks, here's what I'm pushing tonight. Thank you, Shelley. It's our 30-day closeout for Wraith of God, Fear Hollow. The Wraith and Esther face off against the Headless Horseman, a witch, and a mysterious villain from his past. Very, very interesting stuff. Very creepy. In fact, I think I told the story on Sunday. I was working on the script and I scared myself and I had to stop. So this is a good one. And there's your EC cover variant that you can choose. There's your 1972 Marvel retro cover you can choose, or you can choose the Chris Stevens painted cover, which is quite fantastic. Or you can get all 4. It says so right there, the 4-pack plus. I see what you get there. You get all 4 covers plus the roughs, which is the roughs volume 3 is a signed and numbered limited edition book. There's a David Williams backup story that will appear once we hit 100K. We've only hit 1 stretch goal so far, folks. We got to do better. We got to get the numbers up here so we can get more stretch goals. We got trading cards coming, the David Williams backup story, which will then turn this into probably an 80-page book, which that's pretty good value. We've got the Wraith of God Nouveau print that you can get. That's signed and numbered. So this right here, this Roughs Volume 3, this is these are signed and numbered and limited to what the orders are. I always print a little bit over in case there's damage booked, but only like 20 or 30 copies. So if you don't order this on the campaign, chances of getting it are slim to none. So order it on the campaign, folks. Shot glass of the nightclub. Remember, this is number 4, not number 3 in a series of 6. We have Wraith of God shot glass, Garbage Man shot glass, Kit Carter shot glass coming to all you guys that backed Kit Carter, and now the nightclub, which will be the 4th. And I don't know what the 5 and 6 are going to be. I haven't made up my mind yet, but there you go. Poker chip set of Wraith, Esther, and the Dale Keown Werewolf. And you can get Wraith of God number 1. If you've missed out, you can still get it. This is the second printing, but it was the second printing with a new cover. So highly collectible. Print run very low on this, less than 1,000 books. And then Wraith of God 2, Blood Hunters, cover A. The wraparound cover, which I did. And the black and white's hanging on my wall right behind me. So there you go. This is all the good stuff you can get with this campaign. I highly recommend backing it because you're not going to want to miss this one. This is pedal to the metal, baby. Robert Doan, I really want to grab most of the CG books, but each one is approximately $80 Canadian someday. I know it sucks. The shipping stinks. And I'm really sorry about that. I wish there was something better to be done about it, but there ain't. We did do that once. We bought Shelley a beer on one of the, I think on Wraith 2. Didn't go over very well, actually. Poor Shelley. She had to buy her own beer, but, or I had to buy it for her, which is usually how it kind of goes down there. There's Phil Diaz. Hello, Phil. All right. So the other thing I was going to do, which I kind of do on some of these last second live streams, is I draw for fun and recreation. So let's take a look at the first page of, and yeah, I'm still on page number 1, which I'm slightly embarrassed about. But as I said, I've been spending all of my time shipping books for Kit Carter because I don't like, I hate launching a new campaign when I haven't fulfilled the previous campaign. But this is now my 5th campaign. So I think you guys know you're going to get your books, but I still feel like I need to get one campaign finished before I launch another. The problem was this Kit Carter ran really late and ran into my launch date for Wraith of God 3. So I went ahead and launched it anyway because I didn't want to get too close to Christmas. In my opinion, we're too close to the holidays as it is, but I still was able to launch in September. So we're not as far along as others. So anyway, I haven't been producing, other than working on the script, I haven't been producing pages for Wraith of God until now. And you're going to watch it live right here before your very eyes. Okay, so here's what we got. In case people want to know, and inquiring minds do want to know, this is what I'm using for paper. Now, there's what was going on down there at the bottom of my screen? Something weird. Oh, camera, do not fail me now. This is Strathmore Bristol, and it actually comes with Blue Line already on the board. So that's kind of the nice thing. And there's 2 kinds here. There's the smooth surface, and there's a kind of it's not really rough, but it's got a little bit of tooth to it. And they call it a vellum surface, I believe. And I don't like that as much because the slick surface is really great to ink on. I prefer to pencil on the rougher surface, but the slick surface for inking is, especially for brush inking. Well, I shouldn't even say that. Even the pen, it's better. It's better all the way around. So that is why I use the slick stock as opposed to the more toothy slot. Okay, so as you can see, I have been working on it. Now, those of you who are, interested in items of nostalgia, this frame right here, this shot right here, is basically the opening shot to Walt Disney's version of Legend of Sleepy Hollow, except you have Ichabod Crane walking down this hill towards the town. But otherwise, it's it's not exact. I didn't like freeze frame and trace it, but I did copy it from a freeze frame because I wanted those little Easter eggs in there, if you will, right? So what's happening here is we set up the town, we set up the witch's hovel, which this actually looks like a little plug thing, doesn't it? And here's the witch working on some sort of weird potion. And then we get our eyes here. We hear this creak, which of course would be the door opening. See those little bars flashing there on the bottom? That is making me nervous about my camera. I have a weird connection and I have not bought a new cable, and I should have bought a new cable. So hopefully I won't breathe on it too hard and it won't flake out on me. This is the last of the 8404 Raphael's Kolinsky's, made in France, so they must be special. They don't make these anymore. It's a number 2. This is the last one I have. So when it's gone, I'm going to have to switch to different brushes. And what I've done is I keep buying like these. I bought these. I thought these might be interesting. They're a little smaller. As you can see, the grip on them is smaller. AIT Art Russian Sable Mini Liner. I have no idea if these are any good or not, but once this one goes kaput, I'll try these. And if these suck, what are those? Doggone it. Those Japanese pens that Art of Roy is always recommending. The Koratake. I'm going to try one of those and see how those go. But anyway, let's ink a little bit, shall we? Well, yeah, but they're all used. He maintains his brushes really, really well. I mean, I do too, but the thing with these Kolinskys, they're a great brush, but for me, they start to, you do like an issue of a book and you might as well retire that sucker. So they're great. They're great. They don't last long, but they have a great point, a great tip. Oh, wait a minute. Art of Roy, are you talking about these Kolinskys I can still get? Seriously? Because I didn't find them, but I'll go check. 38 to 40 bucks. Gee, many Christmas, what a ripoff. Yeah, I used to get them from Dick's for like 16 bucks a piece. I tell you. So anyway, I got a little water over here off camera. Uh-oh. There we go. Come on, focus, baby. All right. And I do a mixture of this. Well, I'm not going to tip it because I don't want to. But it's Speedball Super Black, and it can get a little thick. So I do mix Higgins in there with it occasionally. Now I left the top off this by accident, so this is probably like super thick. We'll see how it turns out here. So I'll go in here and kind of do like this and roll the brush to get a point. And you want to lock your hand down, your wrist down here. We're going to make long strokes here for the hair. And of course, I'm not going to do my best work on camera, but usually I don't ink flat like this. I will ink with an elevated board drafting table, just like I would draw on. My control sucks right now. The brush is good. So I got to be careful not to hit that camera. So what I could do, and what I probably will do, in fact, I guarantee you I'm going to do it right now, is I might do this hair with a pen. And then I'll do her eyelashes. Now, see, I like these microns. A lot of people use these microns. But to me, they're a little gray. And I want something with better black. And it probably looks black, but when you erase it, it takes the sheen off. And they tend to get a little gray on the original artwork, which I do not like. Now you can't get your line weights, obviously, with a pen without going back over it. But on these hairs, I'm not really all that concerned with that. You kind of have to find that sort of speed that allows you to, speaking of inking, Gary Martin's in the house. Now the pressure's really on.
I heard you were inking with the brush. I wanted to watch, and then now.
Well, I'm about to. My control, I can't, with this camera here and everything, I can't quite get my arm where I want it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the hair strands with a pen, but I'm going to go in with a brush and do the eye here in a minute. I have my last Kolinsky 8404 red sable that still has a decent tip on it.
I haven't watched you ink with brushes that often. So I always like watching other people ink with the brush because everybody does it different.
Well, I learned it from you.
Yeah, but you still do it different. Randy Howell, Hardy, har. He says that they let me they let me out of the padded cell. He's probably referring to my couch.
He is. But it still looks I don't know. Is it, maybe it's not quite as close as it was in Graybeards, where it looked like you just had a wall of cushions behind you?
I zoomed out a little bit, my camera. Like Hick says that I'm learning to ink with a corn dog.
Like the actual corn dog, or just the stick?
Well, he doesn't mention the stick. Inking with a corn dog would be a challenge.
That used to be kind of an insult, right? You'd say about somebody's ink line, like, the guy ink with a stick?
I used to say that all the time about my own work. And that's how I described my first attempt at inking with a brush.
Well, in some ways, we are inking with a stick. It just, All right, here we go. I'm gonna get my camera's being finicky again, so I'm afraid to touch it, like to accidentally bump it. I'm afraid it's gonna go haywire on me.
Okay, well, don't worry about the camera. Just think about what you're doing.
I know. It's like, You don't want to ruin this panel on
Yeah,
live.
my camera.
All right. So Art of Roy says I can still get these Kolinskis on Amazon, but they're like 30 or 40 bucks, which means probably someone has a stash of them that they're now kind of leaking out,
Are
right?
those the Raphaels?
Yeah, these are
What brand is that?
this is the Raphael
Okay.
Kolinsky, 8404s,
Yeah. Okay.
which they don't make anymore, right?
I don't know because I don't use those. I use the 08s, the 8408.
But you still use a 2, right?
Yeah.
See, I haven't bought any of the 08s.
You should try them because there's more hair on the brush, so it holds more ink, but it still has that needle point.
That's the one thing I've always had problems with is having too much ink on my brush. I remember talking to Mike Golden.
Yeah, that's the key is regulating how much ink is in it. And sometimes I get lazy and I try to ink fine lines when I have a lot of ink in the brush. I always regret it.
Yeah. Well,
If he's asking if I'm going to watch any scary movies during Halloween, I don't really do anything different during Halloween than I normally do the rest of the year.
I don't either, except eat candy a lot.
Right, right. Okay, that's one thing I do different is I overbuy candy for the kiddies just so I can have some left over.
Well, you know what we always do is I buy the candy too early, and then we just eat it all, and then I have to go buy more.
Well, I've had candy sitting here for 2 weeks, and I've not touched it. So
Really, that's discipline,
yeah.
man. That is crazy discipline. No, so I was saying that Golden, when I met Golden, he told me that he used a number 3 brush, which I was like,
it kind of depends on the brand, right? Because they are different sizes.
it's true. But I was getting 3 with, because I think Hillary Barta turned me on to these Kolinskis, because I was using the Winsor Newton like everybody else, and then their tips got crappy. And so I went for the Kolinskis, and I really got used to them. And then I bought a 3, and I don't remember if it was a Winsor Newton or if it was a Kolinsky, but I bought a 3, and man, you want to talk about holding ink.
Yeah.
And it was like, if you just did all your holding lines and all your bold work when you first dipped it, by the time you were through with that, you could do some nice feathering stuff. But if you tried to come right out of the gate and feather with that thing,
right,
forget it. See, I go back and forth, Gary. Sometimes I will feather like this. I know you go the other way from thin to thick, but
it depends on.
Yeah, I do it both ways depending on, because I get better when I have little short feathering lines. I feel better, kind of doing the Wrightson thing where I'm going out of the
with shorter lines.
Yeah.
You see, I'm the opposite. With shorter lines, I like to do thin to thick, and longer lines, I like to do thick to thin.
Really? Because I just go the opposite way. Because those really long, unless I'm doing like her brush, her eyelashes.
Mm-hmm.
You want it a little more random looking,
right?
So I'll go thick to thin, so I can get that sort of more of a random feel to it. But if I'm doing like long feather lines, my goodness, I always go thin to thick because I have more control over it. But if I'm doing like these short lines like this, I'll just go.
Okay. Yeah, I do it the other way. I'm working on a Wrightson Swamp Thing page.
Really?
Interior page recreation for a commission right now, and so I'm doing a lot of the thick to thin stuff. And once you start doing that, you kind of get into a rhythm. And I always think, why don't I do this more often?
Yeah.
But I think I'm not as confident doing that, and so that my standby is going. thin to thick.
Well, you've always
Art of Roy is asking me. I have never used those Menso liner brushes. I've never used them. I'm a cheapskate, so I don't like buying art supplies. And two, if I'm using something that works, I will just stick to it like, the grip of death.
Yeah, I've never been one to kind of like experiment, go, oh, this is cool, but what would this do? It's like,
Yeah,
once you get
exactly. I
something, you're
know.
like, yeah.
I never do that unless someone that I respect, highly recommends something, that I'll try it. Otherwise, I'm like that with everything. I'm like that with like movies and TV shows and books. And it's like somebody it can't just be some random, knucklehead. It has to be somebody I respect.
You don't want to take advice from a random knucklehead.
No. Even a critic, if they say it's great, it's like, I don't know you, I don't trust you.
I used to do that too. I'd read different movie critics and finally find ones that you trust because they seem to have the similar taste that you have. And then those are the guys I would listen to, or the other ones I wouldn't even,
Roy says that Wrightson wraparound cover sold for 1.4 million on Heritage.
The Frankenstein, I assume he's talking about?
Yeah, a few years back. I'm sure it would sell for more than that now.
That's crazy. I mean, who has that kind of money? I guess movie people do, but
I don't know. It'd be nice.
Could you imagine telling your wife, I'm going to drop 1.5 on this Wrightson? What do you think?
Well, if you have that kind of dough, I don't think she would begrudge you anything.
That's true. That's true. Because if you're spending 1.5 on artwork, what are you spending on everything else?
Right. Yeah. I mean, she's standing in her $10 million remodeled kitchen, and she's going to tell you can't buy some artwork. Take off that $5 million mink, and then we can talk.
Yeah. Now, do you have a piece, like if you had unlimited resources, do you have like a piece from an artist that you sort of covet and would like, if I had the money, I'd get this?
Well, art comes and goes.
Now, some's timeless though.
I know. I mean, in terms of who owns it and if it's available or not.
Well, let's just hypothetically say it's available, and
I would just go through my list of favorite artists and try to get one great piece from each one. Like one great Wrightson, one great Golden, one great Boland, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But do you have like a favorite Frazetta piece that you're like, oh, if I had the money?
I don't think I have favorites of anyone.
Really?
One piece. Because great artists are great because they're consistently great.
True, but again, we're not going to say you can go, I've got so much money I can buy every piece I want. You got enough money to buy.
Okay, let me loosen, let's say a Golden exhibit where, there's covers and splash pages and all that stuff to choose. It would take me a long time to decide.
Well, see, I'm surprised you have. That's what I'm getting at. I'm surprised you haven't done that already. Because I could tell you right now what Frazetta I would get.
Okay. Well, see, I couldn't. It would be hard for me to choose because he did so many amazing things.
Yeah, but it
might be the first Frazetta I ever saw.
Well, I was going to say it usually comes down to something that affected you when you were a kid or whatever, and.
This Frazetta painting changed my life. So what's yours?
Back to the Stone Age where the mammoth is breaking through the trees and that guy's got the spear, and that's the one. I mean, I wouldn't even hesitate. That would be the one. And And that's actually one that I think that's the only one that he won an award for, best, like, what are those science fiction award, Hugos?
Yeah.
He won for like best paperback cover or something, which is hard to believe that he only won once. That
I
may
would
be
never
mistaken on
guess
that.
it would have been that one.
But yeah, that's the one. And I remember seeing that as a kid. I had no idea who Burroughs was. And I saw that book and I was like, you know, suddenly I'm a Burroughs fan just because of the Frazetta painting.
Yeah. The two that I saw was from a cousin of mine who had the paperbacks. So it would be either one of these, the iconic Conan, where
The one where
he's
he's like
standing
there
on
with
a
the
pile of
axe.
bodies and posing with a sword and a girl at his ankle.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the Frost Giants.
I love the Frost Giants.
Yeah, me too. So either one of those is, you know, I'd take any one of those.
Well, that's funny. I was kind of looking through that Ballantine book, you know, that one that came out years like in '75, that first like collection of Frazetta's paintings. And I was looking through the books and I was like, is there any one of these that I wouldn't take?
I know. Yeah.
There's a couple like I don't like, and this is funny because my friends at Bedrock City Comics in Houston, they the guy who owns the store, Richard, he bought a Frazetta painting that Vince from Metropolis Collectibles had, and it was, you know, it was part trade. He gave up quite a few. He has a great comic collection, as you can imagine, like an incredible Golden Age collection.
Yeah.
And so he traded quite a few books and cash for this, and it's the one with that guy is spearing that spider upside down.
Yeah. With the green blood in the water.
Yeah, and that doesn't do anything for me, that particular one.
No, I like it, but there's really not a lot there.
Right.
Because he's in water and, you know.
But if you have a chance to own a Frazetta and that's the only one you have a
chance.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. Are you kidding? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I broke into the Frazetta Museum, which I would never do.
But I'm not suggesting anyone try this at home.
Exactly. But if I did, and I was standing in front of that and the alarm went off, yeah, I'd grab it and take it.
Like, it's the only one I was in reach. I had to take it.
I'd also want something that he did with ink.
Yeah,
I love his inking. I think I mentioned this in my inking book. I think Frazetta was the all-time greatest comic book ink artist. The stuff that he did was just way ahead of all his peers, and we're still using his techniques today. And most people don't even realize we are.
Well, he had such a delicate and illustrative line, and the way he did hair, we're just using masks of, you know, like the dark-haired like girls and stuff, or even the guys. Just, you know, he'd leave a highlight in there, but it was just this mass of black.
Yeah.
But it felt so lush and so like real hair.
And if you see his printed stuff, you know, and it's obviously pretty cool, but then you see that same printed piece, you see the original, and it's this the angels sing. I mean, it's just,
I know. That's the same thing with Schultz. You know, he's got that, you know, that technique down, and you look at his originals and the way he, you know, the gray, you know, ink wash.
I think Schultz started out trying to mimic Frazetta. I think Schultz is like doing his own thing now.
Yeah, he was very much, he had a lot of Wally Wood influence and a lot of Frazetta influence in his really early stuff.
Yeah. But the stuff he's doing now, I think is just it's different than anyone.
Right, but it's still sort of that sort of vintage throwback feel
Yes.
to it.
Yes,
But it's
absolutely.
just remarkable to look at.
Are you inking that panel without inking in the border lines?
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Why? Why?
I don't know, because then you got all kinds of lines. When you do the borders, you got lines sticking outside the border, and
Yeah, but then never mind.
you're asking me questions I can't answer, Gary. That I don't.
So is it a lazy issue? You just want to get right to the inking, and I don't want to do that
Well,
now.
everything with me is a lazy issue.
No, okay.
So don't.
Because
Don't have
it's harder for me to, ink up to a line, and then when I rule the line, I end up getting the white out anyway. So the line might as well be there.
Yeah, to me, it's I don't do anything. I like nothing I do is well thought out. I just do because I want to ink these, I want to ink these eyes right now, and then you're like, oh, but maybe I should rule in the border, and you're like, I don't even want to rule in the border lines after I'm done inking a page.
That's true. I don't like doing that.
It's just it doesn't take that long, but it's still so like tedious and uneventful. It's like
right.
It's necessary, but it's like.
Citizen Ronan is mentioning the werewolf story Frazetta did for Creepy.
Oh God,
yeah,
that's so good,
unreal. Which reminds me, I think one of the inked pages that I would take if I had would be the splash page to Untamed Love of the lion coming out of
that. I was just going to say that may be the very best black and white story he's ever done.
But his Johnny Comet stuff.
Oh yeah, tremendous.
Incredible.
Yep. And he was a young dude when he was doing that stuff.
Yeah.
That's how we used to have these discussions with another comic artist who will remain unnamed about, having born talent or developing talent. And I'm a firm believer in you're born with a certain amount of talent.
I agree.
And it's up to you to develop it, but you can work as hard as you want. And you're never going to be as good as Frazetta.
Right.
It's just because he's got more than you've got.
And a lot of artists have tried.
Yeah.
A lot of artists have tried. And they, some of them mimic Frazetta, pretty well, but they're not really, honestly, they're not close.
Yeah, because they don't have that whatever Frazetta had, that made him unique and great. I mean, anybody
Aaron?
Yes.
Why don't you let David in?
Oh, there he is. I've been trying to keep an eye on what's up, Bro Hawk?
I'm doing. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. How's it going with you? How's everybody in the chat? How are my fellow graybeards?
They're not getting any younger. I'll tell you that.
Is this a spoiler page you're working on for everybody?
Yeah, well, it's just the very first page of the book.
Oh, okay.
Which I've had sitting here forever, and I just have not got it finished because my focus has been on getting the Kit Carter stuff shipped out. But let me see here if I can.
You inked that pretty quickly.
I'm getting a little bit looser in my old age, just because.
Did you use a brush on the sound effect?
No, that's a pen.
Okay.
I'm not that crazy, Gary. I'm not crazy like you.
No, I would have, but I was just saying that, some of the line weights vary. So it has that.
Well, I did go on with a pen to do that.
Yeah.
But, which is kind of funny because Frank Cho inks with microns, but he does it to emulate a brush. which I find is just hilarious. And then I know guys that ink with a brush, but they use it to make it look like a pen. And I'm just like, they have pens.
Yeah. Scott Williams does that.
Yeah, to see, I didn't know that. I thought he was a pen inker. Well, he must have been at some point a pen
Well, he
inker.
was for a long time.
Yeah. He was just bored.
I don't know.
I think I'll try this.
Yeah, I guess there's something to be said for that you you get so good at something that you're just like you're doing it in your sleep, and then you're like, how is this a challenge anymore? I need to challenge myself. And I can see that because it gets you're doing it, everything looks the same after a while because you get so good at it, that it's like, how do I bring something new to the table? Well, maybe you switch your tools or something.
Yeah. I noticed that Michael Bancroft is in the chat. Do you want to bring him in?
I don't know. Does he want to come in? Do you want to come in, Michael, and give us your Australian point of view?
The exotic take on everything.
That's right. What? How does it look down under? Marcus Killa says Root inks with a number 10 brush. Nobody inks with a 10 brush.
No, unless it's a weird brand that 10 is actually its reverse number. 10 is actually a 2.
All right, we're at Bancroft. I
use a bigger brush when I fill in blacks, but not to do lines.
I'm going to let's see. I'm going to hunt you down on Twitter, Michael, and put it in there.
Yeah, I sent you something in Graybeard's chat.
Oh, did you? All right, I'll grab it. Let's see here.
Aaron, I'm guessing the pages 2 and 3 might be a double page spread.
No, 2 is it's a splash page though.
Okay.
Which I was going to lay out tonight as well.
You do that on camera.
Well, I'm going to in a minute here. I gotta track down. There's Bancroft. Okay, I'm going to send you the link, Michael. There it is. You are welcome to come on in.
So,
right.
Michael, if you don't come in, we will feel snubbed.
Really?
So the pressure's on you, man.
Are you talking about the Scott Williams thing, David?
Yes.
All right, hang on a second here. Let's take a look at this. Okay. I got to push too many buttons. Okay, we'll turn off the volume here. There's all right, here we go. This is Scott Williams inking.
Okay, yeah, I've seen this video. Yeah, it makes me nauseous.
Look at that's got to be Jim Lee, right?
Yeah, it is. Can you bump up the quality? See how?
Let's see if it will.
Below. Right there.
Oh, quality blows on this.
Go to there you go. There we go.
So is that what you do, Aaron? You hold the bottle of ink over the page as you...
Yeah, right. Because I want to make sure that I give every chance to spill.
You know, the crazy thing is that when I'm inking with a brush, I do.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
So it's like he's sketching with it.
But you have to have such a light
control that
It's so weird that Jim has so much. It's just style, and then
Yeah.
he adds more
Yeah.
style to it.
Yeah.
All right, everybody from way down under, it's Michael Bancroft. Thanks for
Hello,
joining us,
gentlemen.
Michael.
Hello.
Hey, Michael.
You bet you didn't know Scott Williams could ink this fast, did you?
Wow, yeah. I'm notoriously slow. This is putting me to shame.
You see how he's inking from. He's dragging the brush up.
Yeah.
So I do mine
you're saying
horizontal.
I'm like Aaron, I think, thick to thin, mostly.
But it's like every line that he does, it goes from. It's vertical from bottom to top.
Well, he's following Jim's lines, but he's adding so much in terms of how he's interpreting the lines.
Yeah.
So he is doing a lot of drawing over the top of that, which is interesting.
Mike DiCarlo used to, when I was hanging around the DC office and watching him work, he would ink vertically, but he would ink from top to bottom. He would drag the brush down. It's like, what are you doing? But that's how he did it.
I'd like to take a little credit for Scott doing this, because I bugged him for years to make a video. And he finally did.
Just like you've been bugging me.
Yeah. Yeah.
David bugs everybody so he can take credit if they ever do anything.
That's right.
This is the older way of making process videos. Now the hype is to do it in real time, but just take little snippets of it.
Yeah.
I told Kelsey to do that 2 years ago because he was like, "What do I do for videos?" I said, "Do that," and he said, "Yeah, maybe."
So, Michael, you're still waiting to take credit. We're still waiting.
Yeah, I am. I told him to do that because I want to start doing it myself. It's always like, when you're working, you don't really think to stop and go, all right, I'm gonna film this.
Yeah.
And
That's
then you're like,
pretty
oh,
loose.
I've already started anyway.
It is. I mean, if you look at it like this, it doesn't really necessarily look like pen, does it? It looks like he used a brush.
Yeah, but when it's shrunk down, it tightens up.
It's
Yeah.
But you
amazing
just
how
see
much
how he's doing those lines. He's like flicking his wrist, so he does it quickly. But he still has amazing control.
it's pretty amazing how much he ignored of Jim's pencils. And it still looks like Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's ever been two guys that are like the combination of both of them is responsible really for a style, because Scott, I think, helped define Jim's look as much as Jim did, at least the finished look. Obviously the drawing is Jim's, but
Yeah, I agree.
and because I think then Jim went ahead and started inking just like when he inked himself, would ink him like Scott would ink him.
Mm-hmm.
So they were always that sort of consistent look to his work.
Well, Jim's stuff definitely looks like pen, and that's all he does use. And Scott, again, has a little bit more flair, but both of them coming up, they were influenced by the exact same thing. So they were tight buddies coming up, you know what I mean? So they liked all the same artists. And so however this person pulled, from Barry Windsor Smith, this one knew how to articulate it better, or this one like, Mark Silvestri, and this one knew how to, vice versa. And so they knew how to merge it together. And he knew his shortcuts where Jim didn't have to overly, pencil it so tight. He'd say, "Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Do that thing." Me and Gary kind of started getting that kind of understanding, with some of my work too. So,
And a lot of that is like defining your terms when you're talking about inking. Ink like or do this, and it's a word that you both understand. You know what it means. But you have that conversation with someone else, another artist, they'll have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah.
Did you guys like Bob Wyacek over Arthur Adams?
Um,
On those covers, on those.
I'm like,
I'm gonna say no. Didn't Wyacek ink him on those Fantastic Four issues he did, where it was Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Hulk?
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
I thought there's different inkers on that. Didn't even
Well, Al Milgrom might have inked some of that too, which is really kind of weird for.
Yeah. In those early days, they just, whoever was available.
didn't Wyacek do some of his classic X-Men covers?
Well, here's one right here. That's
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love that cover. It's not as tight as what Art would do, but it almost has that thing that Art loves that Walt Simonson would do. It has this looseness and this visceralness.
Mhm.
Well, Wyacek inked a lot of Simonson too.
Yeah,
Or
there
some.
you go. There you go. See, like if Arthur was to ink that cross-hatched background, it'd be so much tighter. Same with Gary. If he was to ink that, it would be like super tight.
Yeah.
Wyacek just threw it in there. It's just from the gut,
It's got energy to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
But does it have all that refined line that we naturally like about Arthur? No, but his figures are still there. It still reads as Arthur Adams.
Yeah, it still looks like Art Adams.
Yeah. Let me show you something that doesn't look like Art Adams.
Here we go.
This is Wraith of God 3. Look at that. 9 hours left. Let's see if you got any action on here. Hey, a little bit over 54. Let's get this sucker to 55.
Yes.
I was thinking of potentially refunding on this to see.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
Hold on.
Oh, you're gonna get something else?
Let him get it out, Aaron.
Okay.
I somehow missed Wraith of God 2, and I think I know why. I think it's because in the interim, I figured out I could get everything shipped to Critical Blast, and then he would send stuff over to me. Because otherwise, Australian shipping is just forget about it.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to take out a loan to buy a comic book.
I know.
But so I got Wraith of God 2, but I realized in this whole thing I missed Kit Carter as well. But I don't think it's available through this campaign, is it?
No, but it is available through me.
Yeah,
So,
I might have to do that and just get that sent to RJ as well, because I want to get that one too.
Yeah, just let me know, because I'll throw it in there, and anything I can do to like save you some money on shipping. It's freaking crazy, man. It's like it's just like shipping a book over to Australia is like $50 or something. It's just like I feel so bad for you guys.
More. Yeah.
More than that.
And it was decent shipping from Australia to the US for years, and just recently it started creeping up. And this is very discouraging. But thankfully, I'm going to start looking at going through Critical Blast to fulfill, because most customers are from the US. It's like 80%, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, especially for you going the other way. I mean, I've got a couple people from New Zealand, a couple people from Australia, but a guy in Finland, that type of thing. But still 90% of my audience is US shipping. But you've got to have most of your audience has got to be US.
Oh, it's like, 80 something, 85, maybe even 90% US, and then the rest from other international sources.
Mm-hmm.
Europe, and then about, I don't know. There's always
how bad is it
Australian
from Australia to Europe? It can't be as bad, but maybe it still is bad. I don't know. If you have to ship from Australia to Europe, is that bad, or is it?
It's pretty bad, and you get more send backs.
Oh,
because of customs.
I know that's the thing that sucks. It's always wherever you ship it that's most
Is it
expensive.
me
and
breaking
it's
up or is it
coming
Aaron?
back to
I
you?
don't know if it's my internet.
You're pixelating
Yeah.
a bit. I'm going to blame you rather than me.
I'll stop my cam and. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so there's 4 cover options for this. This is the cover A. Cover B, of course, is the EC variant. Cover C is the 1970s Marvel Retro variant. And then the Chris Stevens painted cover, which is just outstanding. And so you can get either of any of these that you like, or you can get all 4 there. You see a 4-pack plus over on your right-hand side there that gets you all 4 covers plus the Roughs Volume 3, which is basically a little booklet that shows 48 pages of page layouts and roughs. And you can compare those to the finished pages, and it's always kind of fun to kind of look at the process.
Aaron, you did cause sort of a dilemma that, in my opinion, all 4 covers are equally great.
Thank you.
I don't see one cover that outshines, because like that one is like there's so many cool things in that cover, and then the one with the head, it's like, come on. That is very cool.
And then just the regular.
And that's iconic. And then of course Chris Stevens. I mean, they're all equally great in my opinion.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate that. I think I don't know if I want to pull the curtain back too far, but I think the idea is when you have multiple covers is you want them varied enough that everyone feels like a unique experience. So it's not like, so make it harder on the customer to choose just one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
you succeeded in that.
Thank you very much. Creative Face is Gary speaking to the dilemma I faced.
Yeah.
I'm here to present dilemmas to you guys. And Creative Faye likes Kit Carter. Thank you. Catalyst Vault says Kit Carter is solid. Isn't that what that means? Good, right? With the kids?
I don't think that's a compliment when you're referring to a woman.
If you say she's solid.
Right. Does that sound like a Russian athlete? Is that what you
I don't know. Yeah, it's like
Dirty.
Hello, Michael. Can you hear us?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
All right, good. I got that cover, by the way. It was very difficult to choose, though. You did put out a good spread.
Chris is terrific, man. I really like his stuff. It's really it's so technically sound, and yet it's really like stylized and cool and very just very interesting looking.
Yeah, I mean, to take the whole thing in, and then when you get a chance to zoom in and look at the detail is just nuts.
Yeah, style-wise, it's not the same, but it just reminded me of the Jay Lee kind of gunslinger stuff from back in the day, and I don't know, something about it spoke to me, so that's why I got that one.
Well,
I think it's the deep dark shadows and the painterly effect.
Yeah, and his technique is nuts. It's just like crazy weird. I interviewed him. He's been on my channel twice, and most recently when we launched, just shortly after we launched, so it was like the end of September on my Sunday show. I interviewed him and we talked about his technique, and it's still just mind-numbing what he does. You're just like, you did what? It's like he draws it, then he inks it, then he paints it white, and then he colors over the top of that white, and you're just
it's just all these layers.
Yeah, and it's just like crazy.
I'm convinced that Chris is a total AI machination.
He doesn't exist.
No, he doesn't.
He's from the machine world.
Yeah, exactly. Or the part of the simulation, right?
Yeah.
Yes Web says just back. Thank you, Yes Web. Appreciate it very much.
I still think the storytelling on this cover that Chris has done, it looks like the Headless Horseman caught them doing something that
Yeah.
Well, hang on a second. If you look down at the bottom left, there's a gravestone right there. See,
well,
right
see, that
here.
makes it even creepier.
So
What the heck were they doing? But they're like,
no, they're looking at the grave of the Headless Horseman, and then he's like, oh. No, it's a great composition because you get a nice shot of Esther, you get a great shot of the Wraith, but then you also almost get a full figure of the Headless Horseman and the horse.
And the horse, yeah. So there's a lot in there.
Yeah. And he's a fascinating character, man.
You remember that old black and white TV show, The Untouchables?
Yeah.
And they'd have artwork for the credits, and the illustrations of the guys, they were like with their arms up and fingers splayed, like they were being caught doing something. That's what this looks like to me.
Well, he's never done, like, I think he had 2 jobs early on in Marvel where he actually did interiors, and he was like, this is just taking me forever. I can't do this. And then, went strictly the illustration sort of cover route. And I'm going to have to go back and actually look at the show where I interviewed him to remember what issues he did, but they were like X Factor, like backup stories or something like that in the 90s. And I'm kind of interested to see, because I asked him stylistically, I said, what are your influences? I said, because your work is very stylized. And he said the 2 guys he looked at the most were Travis and Joe Madureira. And you can kind of see both of that.
Interesting.
But those guys are just huge stylists. They're as much as they're great artists, but their style is as strong as their drawing ability. So it really, you recognize Travis by his style.
Yeah.
And same with Joe Mad. And so,
right.
And Chris is very much a stylist. And so it makes sense that his biggest influences would be guys that are also very stylistically strong.
Ethan's in the chat.
EVS. There he is. Lopez, if you want to close it out on Caps tonight, just let me know. I'm going to get a shower and start my YouTube evening. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'll come over when you shoot a link, dude. I'm more than happy. It's just a 30-day closeout, so I didn't want to bug you, but if you're going to be streaming, I'll hop over there. It's less work.
Ethan, what meat are you having for dinner tonight?
These guys, it's all steak, man. It's all steak.
Everyone's on the carnivore diet.
Well, was that carnivore? Does that mean anything in the meat family? I mean, there's like ostrich. Does that count? Because you assume it's steak, but you got to get tired of steak.
Well,
steak is the best, though. I mean,
you got a lot of cuts you can choose from, Gary.
Yeah,
that's true.
Speaking of steak, we just had chicken fajitas yesterday, and we're having hamburgers tonight. But I have to go to the store because we ran out of condiments, so I got to go.
All right, dude. Thanks for dropping by, man.
Absolutely. Continued success, brah.
Thanks. See ya. No, I mean, I've done that caveman diet before, and it works. It's just I have a real trouble with sweets, and it's I can lay off them for a while. And even when you get past that like sort of addiction stage where they say like if you can stay off sweets for like 2 weeks and carbs for 2 weeks, you'll lose your cravings for them. Not exactly true.
Do you crave it even if you don't have it in the house? I mean, like if you're on some diet, a non-sugar diet, and your kid walks by eating a Mars bar. there goes the diet. But if there isn't any around, it's easier for me to stick to it.
Yes, but it's also a
So the
lack of
whole family has to be,
right. Well, it's a lack of self-control, right? Because even if maybe you don't have donuts in the house, but eventually your mind goes there, right? And you're like, oh, I haven't
True.
had a donut in so long.
Yeah, you can't watch TV. You
Right,
can't watch
exactly.
commercials. You can't, because just one little, I'll see, watching a late night movie and see somebody eating pie, and it's like,
Oh.
okay, I'm off to Sherry's.
I know. Now,
Put on my
hey, did you see
jacket
Sherry?
over my pajamas and go to Sherry's at 1:00 in the morning and buy a pie.
Did you see Sherry's is going out of business in the Northwest?
No,
Yeah.
really.
Now, I always felt that Sherry's pies were overrated. They always say they were award-winning pies, and I thought, okay,
they're good.
fine,
They're good. Yeah, they're good for an emergency, but they're not.
Yeah, they're not. There's other places
Emergency pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were open 24 hours. So if you wanted pie, man, you'd go to a place called Sherry's and you get your pie at 2 a.m. if you wanted to.
We don't really do pie this way, same way you guys do. It's like our pies are meat pies.
Meat pies. You don't do dessert pies?
No, I mean, you can get them. They'll find an apple pie somewhere, but it's not something that it's very common.
Yeah. And I love savory meat pies, and that's hard to find here.
Yeah.
It's very,
it's always hard to find a good one.
Okay.
Anyway, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Well, you guys must have some sort of like danishes or turnover, some sort of fruit dessert in the pie, right?
And you know what? It's a lot more French influenced, I think, our pastries. We have croissants and those, tarts and that sort of stuff, which is kind of, I guess, sweet pie-ish.
Okay.
But I'd say it's more British inspired than British and French.
Yeah. Well, we stayed in Paris a couple times, and we stayed in the same hotel near the Eiffel Tower, and there's a French bakery right across the street from this hotel we stayed in. And I was there, man, every morning getting like these apple turnovers and all this kind of stuff. That practice my French
out the front, facing the Champs-Elysees or something.
What's that?
They face the outside. They face the street in France.
Well, no, I know what street you're talking about. Where that's not where we were at. We were kind of back.
Well, any cafe, if they have chairs out there, they're usually.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
This
didn't have any. There was no dining in it. It was small, so it was like you could go in and. But it was like there was a couple of hotels nearby, so I assume it was just, a smart strategic place to put it. And but yeah, I go in there every morning.
American tourist.
You're right, exactly.
They gave you the stuff they cooked yesterday.
Exactly. Well, and how would I know, right? It tastes good to me.
That's true. My wife, she went back to Paris. She's been here for 20 years. She went back to Paris for the first time in probably, I don't know, 5 or so years. This is ages ago. And she was with a friend. And the friend was like, "What are you doing? Why are you being so nice?" She was yelling at her because she was too nice, because she'd sort of become anglicized, where, we believe in politeness and courtesy. Whereas the French, it's just like, no, that's actually rude to them. They're like, "Why are you being polite to me? I don't know who you are."
We actually got treated pretty well. Only one place we went into, this woman that worked there was really snarky, but Shelley speaks French. And so they always appreciated the fact that we weren't stumbling and trying to, convince them to talk English, even though they all spoke English. But Shelley would always, speak French. And so they were always impressed with that. And I just kind of hid behind her, it's kind of like what she said.
French is hard. French is so hard. 20 years in, I still don't really speak it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because she took it, and she took it all through school and high school and college, and so she was pretty good. She had to refresh before we went. She would start watching French television shows and things like that, so she could kind of get her conversational French back. But She was really good. It was incredibly helpful. And in Germany, where we also went in the same trip, everybody was cool and spoke English, and they,
Mhm.
so we didn't
Yeah,
have any trouble there.
I was that's where we met. That's where I met my wife, in Germany. And I learned German. Took me about 4 years. And everyone in Germany wants to speak English to you. So the moment they realize you're not German, they're like, oh yeah, they're speaking English. And you're like, I'm trying to practice here, but they don't care.
I got that same thing when I was in Brazil, is that no one wanted to speak Portuguese to me when they learned I was from the United States.
Yeah.
They all want to try out their English. And the other thing I got from Brazilians several times is that when someone met me, they thought I was German. And after a while, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, this was like a pattern. So after a while, I asked someone, I'm getting that a lot. Why does everybody think I'm German? And they said, oh, well, it's because you're not fat. So, the stereotype American is this fat slob.
It's true. When we were in Germany, I didn't see a lot of heavy people, but everybody walks over there.
Well, okay. In Europe, they don't have, it's illegal to have all that poison they put in your guys' food. And here we get about half. So we're half as fat, but still fat. We get half the poison. But so again, another story. My wife recently went back to France last year and lost, I mean, she's not fat at all. I'm just saying, like, she lost, like, I don't know how many kilos. What it does, she lost weight eating the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? How come? She's like, I don't know. It's just eating normal. And it's because they don't put all this crap in the food there.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if Trump gets elected and RFK can get all that taken out of your guys' food, because it's dire over there. It's pretty bad. It's hard. It's hard enough here to avoid all that crap here.
Yeah, that's the one thing
you can live off meat over there. Like not just, I'm not talking about steak, like sausages and all kinds of strange things, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm kind of hopeful that when Trump gets in, that JFK will do something about the food, because it's just ridiculous. Even if you go back to the 1970s and you look at what was in food then as compared to the same food now and what they're putting in there, it's like, are they just finding all their chemical waste products and naming them something and dumping them in there so they have someplace to put them? It's like, what the heck?
I don't know if it's the same there as it is here, but kids here are all thin, mostly. And, because the parents pay attention to what the kids eat. They make sure they eat right. They don't eat too much junk. And then as soon as the kids hit teenage years and they start to go out and have some autonomy, then, they start to round out. So it's like, you can do it. It's really hard, to find to find the food, and it's super expensive. That's what I was going to say about that friggin' carnivore diet. That's how you lose the weight. You go broke paying for all that meat, and then you can't afford any food anymore.
Right.
It's so expensive.
I know I just pulled a John Belushi, but you guys know what I meant.
Aaron, did you have the same experience when you were, let's say, like a senior in high school, and you're playing basketball, and usually guys that were a year ahead of you that had graduated that played basketball would come back to the school and play, like at lunchtime or, after school, whatever. And most of the guys that I knew when I was a junior and they were seniors, when I became a senior and then they were out of high school, they all had pot bellies.
Yeah, they all went to college and drank beer. That's
exactly. It just 1 year. That's all it took.
Oh, yeah.
This was 1 year.
I used to be very sporty and athletic and all that sort of stuff. And a couple of weeks. You get injured or whatever, it's a couple of weeks and you start to notice the muscle going, and doesn't take long.
Yeah.
throw the beer in. Yeah.
Well, my son had a ton of food allergies growing up. And so we really, really limited his diet. And so he never really developed, a sweet tooth or anything like that. So he eats, he eats pretty well. And, he's now 31, which I can't even, it just blows my mind to even say
He's,
that out loud.
he's 30.
Yeah,
31.
I know. And, but still, fit and everything. And it's like, I mean, I was too, but I was working out like crazy all the time till, probably till I was about 40.
Yeah, I worked out more after high school than when I was in high school.
Yeah, me too.
Well, high school, it's like you can't put on any weight. It's the weirdest thing, right? It's like you're just, if you're naturally skinny, it's just like you can't do it. And then you get out of high school and you get a little bit older and you can actually start to put on weight. So you're like working out and lifting, and you're going, hey, I'm actually looking pretty good. And that kind of incentivizes you.
But it's too late.
Yeah, it's right. All the girls are already.
And there's
Yeah, but
always
that was always the thing, wasn't it? The high school girls always wanted to go out with the college guys. That's
Right.
all it was with my school. It's like, oh, they get picked up by some guy who looks to you like, an adult.
Yeah. Like, why are you going out with this 30-year-old?
Yeah. And you're like, oh, you don't even have a chance. So, yeah.
there's always the guys that mature faster, and they're walking around with beards and chest hair,
Yeah.
It's like, that's unfair.
There was a couple guys like that in junior high, and they just scared you to death because you're
Yeah, we had one. He was a swimmer. He was a national and actually international championship swimmer at the age of 14. He was huge, and all the girls were just swooning over him. And it's so funny now because I still sort of know the guy ish. And yeah, he's a big, fat, bald dude.
Well, that's the thing. You don't want to peak in high school. You don't want to peak in high school.
You don't want to peak when you're 14. That's purgatory.
Yeah, we had a couple of guys that were like got held back a couple of years, and they were just everybody was scared to death of them because they were just like super muscular, looked like they were 20 something, and here they are in 8th or 9th grade. But then you run into them now, and they're still 5'8" and now 200 pounds, and
Yeah. They had a guy like that when I was in junior high. He could do like 50 pull-ups.
Yeah.
I maybe I could do 3,
I'm doing pull-ups again. I can do 2. That's it. And then I feel my back start to spasm, and
Man,
I was pretty good in your 40s. I think
my back will spasm if I just look at a pull-up bar.
Man, I threw my back out last week standing up I was sitting on the couch. I stood up and I was like, oh, I thought it was gonna.
I put my back out, not even standing up, just being on the couch, lying there, and then it seized up, and I couldn't move.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's what they said. They said if you can do pull-ups, that shows your back, you have that core strength, and you'll get less back pain. So I was like, all right, I will start doing that while don't have back pain.
Well, they always told me, it was like, do sit-ups, because if your abs are strong, you'll have less back pain. But it just hurts my back doing sit-ups. So I'm like, I started doing some of that chair yoga, and I was like, after 2 weeks, I was like, this is doing nothing. Because
I get it, man. My wife,
it doesn't push you enough. You're like, how am I gaining anything from this? I actually need to seriously work out if I'm going to do this,
Well, I mean, the athlete models they use to advertise those things, it's, it looks like Jack LaLanne. It doesn't look like
that guy didn't get like looking like that by doing chair yoga.
Right.
I got to take care of some business here. Cheapo Comics says Aaron pulls his back out reaching for a bottle of Metamucil from the cabinet. Hey, Cheapo Comics, reach for this. There you go.
Hey, Metamucil, those bottles are heavy.
Yeah, they come in pretty big. Yeah, they're pretty big size.
My wife does these workouts where you watch people on YouTube and they're like, do this core strength, stretching and holding and stuff. And she's really struggling with it. She's like, oh, this is really painful. So I did one with her, and I was like, This literally isn't. I can't feel anything. I could do this if I could do this for half an hour and I just get bored. But it just goes to show like the difference. And she's working out all the time, and I don't. And it just goes to show the difference between the male and female body. It's like it's not even fair.
Yeah.
I think I used to do that with walking, only in reverse, where I played basketball, lifted weights. I was a competitive cyclist. I raced. But if I had to walk around the mall with my girlfriend, I would be exhausted.
That's mental
I think that's a
exhaustion, though, don't you think?
I don't think
I
that's
would be
physical.
physically exhausted.
I don't know, man.
I can't stand. I can't stand for too long, and it starts hurting my back.
I finally got smart. Shelly bought me these, those kind of, what do you call them? The slip-on flip-flop kind of things, but they're like people wear them in the shower where they got the real thick soles.
Mhm.
Yeah, we call them thongs.
Yeah, well, we used to call them that too, but they don't have the thong that goes in between your toe, right? It's like this
Right.
big
Yeah.
strap across
Sandal
the
then.
front.
Like a rubber sandal.
Yeah, and I wear those in the house, and it makes such a difference on my lower back. Just walking around with that extra cushion there. Angry Gamer's like, sandals? Yeah, I guess that's what you'd call them. Wraith of Aches says comics legend. Yeah, that's me.
Aaron, do me a favor and bonk Citizen Ronin for me.
Let's see. I thought old people like Gary loved to walk around the mall for exercise. All right. Oh, come on, you guys, give Gary a break. There you go.
I walked right into that one.
Lopez, just don't wear Crocs. Well, that's kind of what they call them, right? Is Crocs, right? I mean,
yeah.
I guess that's.
Well, are you talking about actual Crocs? You're wearing Crocs?
No, I'm not.
Crocs is a specific style. It's a
right. No, I've never. I don't think I've ever worn Crocs.
No, that's on my list of beefs or Crocs.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna save that for next week on Grey.
I don't know if I will actually do them because I assume everybody else thinks this.
We wear Uggs here. Australia is the home of the Ugg boot.
Okay.
I wear Uggs every day. Every day. It's like
the Uggs those are like the slip-on like sandal type things.
It's like a moccasin. Right? Well, there's different kinds. You can have they could be like slippers. I wear boots, but yeah, it's just like I think only women wear them in the States, but here it's everyone.
Now, my question for you, Michael, is you born and raised in Australia, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's like giant spiders, snakes, crocodile. I mean, there's so many things that can kill you over there. How is anybody still alive in that country?
Well,
just get used to it.
It's the same. It's the same thing as for most things that will actually kill you. It's like, well, how do you live with grizzly bears?
Well, I don't live in the
go where there are grizzly bears, essentially. Yeah. And you avoid them. So it's really difficult to find a crocodile in the wild in Australia. You really got to go out of your way. I suppose you could run into a shark pretty easily, but again, just don't go swimming in the beach, if you don't want to get bitten by a shark. Right,
but people do anyway, right? I mean, they wrote that.
They figure there's it's a numbers game, and sharks actually.
I don't want to play that numbers game.
If you know there's a shark there, they're actually surprisingly, it's very possible to deter them with a punch. It's really weird. Like even a great white has been known to be deterred with a punch on the nose. It's very painful because they're cartilage. But I'm not suggesting do that. But just
if you remember to do that,
if you can see them, if you see a lot of people, they don't see them coming. They come up from underneath and just give a little love bite.
So do you go to the beach, Michael? Do you do the math? It's like, okay, well,
no, I don't know.
There's about 100 people swimming right now, so that gives me.
I know. I'll go in the shallows. It's very unlikely. I mean, they're
going to pass up the kitties splashing in the deep end. And for you.
But no, I'll go there. It's like I don't know anyone who's been bitten by a shark. I think they're quite rare. Other than that, snakes. Yeah, you just don't annoy them. Keep it. Like,
Well,
it's not that hard.
some people can't help it.
Yeah. Now, what about
Oh,
spiders?
no,
You
no.
guys got like
Okay, so
huntsman spiders,
spiders,
things like that, right?
Yeah. So
Those are big,
we have these big things here called huntsmen
right?
that are like miniature tarantulas, but they don't bite.
Right.
They're not aggressive. That you can pick them up with your hand. I don't, but you can.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't either. But I mean, like you said,
they're around the house all the time. That's what freaks people out.
right?
So,
Because they're
but
in your
as long as
house.
you'll find them in your car. They'll like crawl across things and stuff, and that freaks people out. Understandably,
God, I
but,
couldn't handle it.
the other ones you don't want to avoid are redbacks. They're like black widows on steroids. Deadly, but again, people don't really get bitten that often because it's like common sense. Don't go out into your shed and stick your hand underneath an old shelf in the dark. Like, you'll be fine. And then the last one,
Don't put your hand in that dark hole.
exactly. I mean, it's like, don't do what Indiana Jones did and like stick your hand in through the bugs. You won't get bitten. And the last one is the funnel web, but people forget the funnel web. Its full name is the Sydney funnel web. It only exists in Sydney, so just don't go to Sydney. You'll be fine.
I stayed in Sydney for like 5 days.
And did you run into any funnel webs?
No.
Then you're fine. See, they're actually they are aggressive, but they're rare. And they're the one that if you get bitten by a funnel web, it's like a big, burly, black, scary spider with massive fangs.
Frango!
And yeah.
What's happening?
Well, no. Okay. So,
Dan, long time.
What's up, buddy? I know. I was just about to say.
I'm gonna try and turn my camera on again. I'll see.
You got a crazy hat? No, you got a regular hat. That's great.
No, I was just the internet was bugging out. So
yeah, it does that.
Okay, so we went up to Cairns, to go to the Great Barrier Reef, and we stayed in this place in the rainforest called Silky Oaks Lodge, and they took us on this safari, I guess, through the jungle area.
Yep.
And I was kind of disappointed because we didn't see any crocs anyplace. It's like you said, and there was one really clear pond, I guess you'd call it, and it was really hot, right, and really humid because we're in the rainforest. And the guy, our guide, said, "You guys can go swimming if you want to." And I said, "Are there any crocodiles in there?" And he goes, "Oh no, they never go in there." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure they don't." But I went in anyway, and it was so clear, and there was all these perch swimming in there and stuff. It was really cool. Yeah. But yeah, we didn't see any. They even had like docks where they'd walk out to like a bigger lake, and supposedly where you could see maybe a croc or something. There was nothing.
Did they?
No, that doesn't sound like croc territory. I'm not saying they aren't there, but crocs are more like in the muddy waters of the Northern Territory, and they are in Queensland too. But
did they sell that to you as if it were a croc adventure?
No, it was just what do they call it? It was a jungle expedition, something like that.
You're more likely to probably run into a cassowary.
Was there a crocodile on the brochure?
No, so I guess I can't really complain. There was, however, we stayed in these like lodges. They were like little. There was a lodge where we went to eat. Right, there was no phones or anything, and then we had these little bungalows that were spread out throughout this area, right on the edge of the rainforest. And there was a freaking iguana that was like this big on a tree limb right outside the porch of our balcony of our little bungalow we were staying in. And there was a couple pretty massive spiders that I had to kill. But
they weren't hurting anyone.
They were hurting me.
Hey, I want to show some love to Gary Martin. That recent Batman that you posted on Facebook, like either today or yesterday, is really damn beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
The splatter one.
Looks great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Gary abandoned his crosshatch for splatter. That was really a very interesting.
That's not an abandonment.
It was an experiment. So I was
experiment.
Trying new things.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So you're doing your closeout, your 30-day closeout here on Wraith of God 3.
Yeah.
How's it going?
I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention. I think it's going okay.
Yeah,
Let's look.
I thought that was the idea.
I know. Well, you get
What's
talking, and you forget about. I'm terrible at
Yeah.
promoting myself.
Yeah. Hey, did you see what happened? It's like the professionals effect, and it hit me. We did all that talking about heavy metal, and so I put on some heavy metal, which I generally don't listen to. I haven't listened to it since the 80s. And I put on some 80s metal, and oh my gosh, all kinds of memories started flooding back. So I had to go and buy a few records.
So you purchased more music.
Yeah, vinyl. I like vinyl.
I saw a
My
great
daughter does too.
cartoon about vinyl that said, what I was really looking for in vinyl was the expense and the inconvenience of a new hobby.
Yes. Yeah, you know what it is for me though? I mean, yes, definitely the expense, because you go, wait a minute, I can get this on iTunes and have it in my pocket and whatever. But I'm a kid from the 70s and 80s, and when I was a kid and I'd buy music, it was either on cassette or on vinyl, and it wasn't until I was later in high school that it was on CDs. So the act of taking it out and reading the sleeve and looking at the production credits and just the whole thing is I don't know, it's what do you call that?
Nostalgia.
No, not nostalgia, like
Visceral.
it's visceral. I'm trying to think of
Tactile.
like it's that too. What is it? It's
And that's the thesaurus. Hold
I
on.
know. It's like we got to go see the
Dan,
thesaurus, but
it's bitchin'.
ritual.
Ritual.
There you go.
Okay.
It's the
It's a
ritual of doing it.
visceral, tactile ritual.
Ritual. Yeah.
That
The
brings back
taking it out of the
nostalgia.
sleeve, the dusting it off and getting it ready and putting the pin on and like that little crackle. I don't know. I just dig it.
You're right. You're right.
My daughter is totally into vinyl now. In fact, she got a record player. So now for Christmas, I always get her like a vinyl. I got her the, Boston's debut album. I think that last year I got her, she already has Dark Side of the Moon. So I picked up, The Wall and vinyl for her. She's a big Beatles fan. And, so
it's
funny
if
how
you know
that stuff
someone
comes back around.
Yeah. If you know someone who likes vinyl, it's an easy gift, not just easy, but a welcome gift. Like on my birthday in June, my brother and his family, they bought me some Coltrane and some Eddie Lockjaw Davis, some really good jazz stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know, man. Maybe it's placibic or whatever, but it just has a warmness.
Everything old is new again, and I think with the AI and everything, people are going to start craving or valuing authenticity a bit more.
They're going to be looking for crunch.
The crackle, the when you put
in everything, in the art, in like performances, when it's too glidey and perfect, and it's not great.
My daughter is just turned 12. She dresses like we did when we were 12.
Yes.
And I think back,
come around.
That was a long time ago. That was
Roscoe
30
Pico
years
Frank.
ago.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it is funny how it all comes back, man.
I was 12.
Kind of like Wraith of God. It's classic, Fraga.
It's super classic. In fact, it is a evergreen classic.
There you go.
This thing is so good that it's going to be able to be read, and it's not dated. And
that's right. You'll never feel like, oh, this was part of an era that no longer exists.
That's
right. It's timeless. And but I do bring back the nostalgia with a little EC love here for the this Wraith of God cover B, or you can get a little Marvel retro action from the 1970s.
I really like that one. But that girl, that figure, her hands, the flow of the dress, the movement, everything about this cover, I dig.
Yeah,
thank you.
Very, very solid figure.
Aaron,
yes, Michael.
I have about 180 crowdfunded books here. I'll put Wraith of God 1. That's the only one I've read. in the top 3, easy.
Wow. Thank
Nice.
you.
Easy.
Very nice. Thank you. I
That's
appreciate you
very
saying
awesome.
that. So anyway, we got
Love
4 cover options, guys. Please back tonight is our 30-day closeout. I don't know. I'm going to go over to Ethan's pretty soon when he launches his thing, and I don't know, go as long as he
Oh,
goes.
he's launching the Ultra Warts or something like that? Ultimate Warts or something?
Oh, is he
What's it
doing that
called?
tonight? I don't know.
I don't know. You said he's launching something.
No, he said he was going to, he said he would, I could come on his stream when he fires it up later tonight.
Oh,
for the closeout.
launches the stream.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, but yeah, please back tonight so we can have really, really impressive numbers so I can show my friends. So anyway, there you go. So
You know, for me, for my part, like, I think the most exciting thing is getting it into as many people's hands as possible and getting as many eyes as possible. And something like the review from Michael Bancroft saying it's in his top 3 is huge. I myself have just as many, but I have read none unless I've been asked to. No, I'm serious. Unless someone asks me to read it, I don't. I literally, my day, I have 4 kids. And,
no,
you know
dude,
what I
I'm
mean?
the same way. I've got
yeah.
books sitting there that I mean, it's like, when am I going to read these? You know, I
have
order them and
stacks
I want to
and
read
stacks and stacks.
them. Yep.
I
You know?
started doing sort of like read-throughs and
Thank
not
you,
quite
Henry.
reviews, but just sort of, I like this one sort of books on my channel to force me to read them. Because otherwise I'm like, I mean, if you're working and you got kids and you're drawing a book and it's like, it's a big commitment to sort of take half an hour out of that. And
yeah. Well, and it's funny, you get out of the rhythm of doing it, right? So I was reading, like, when I was a kid, I read comics till about, I don't know, about 1979, 1980, when I got my car. I turned 16, and then I kind of dropped out of it for a while. Then I kind of got back into it in the 80s because there was so much cool stuff going on, with Simonson's Thor and Daredevil, Frank Miller, and all that kind of stuff. And so I sort of got back into it, started reading again. And I read into the 90s, and then I started working regularly in the mid to late 90s. And it was like, I barely read anything. And then, my son came along and, he read comics for a while. So I kind of got back into it a little bit while he was, of reading age. And then I kind of dropped out again. So it's, I'm just out of the habit of reading it, where it used to be, that was just part of your, maybe not your daily time allotment, but sometime during the week, right?
It was,
it was. I think it was until I had kids.
Yeah.
Basically, and the only reading time I have now is the toilet, and it's either James Allen. It's either James Allen or the Bible, and that's about it.
I don't want to take my comics into the toilet.
Yeah.
It's like, not like I wipe with them.
Well, but I take. Did you guys came in late? You probably didn't see this when I picked up on eBay.
No, is it in near mint?
Yeah, of course.
Ooh, is that a 53? What is that?
No, it's 74, but you got a nice
74. Oh, there it is.
Nice Galactus and Silver Surfer appearance there in 9.2.
Yeah, crack it open there.
I'm not going to
right off the stands.
What do you? I mean, how does that? Like, that's the thing, is it makes me antsy. Like, people ask me why I collected comics and not baseball cards, and I said the baseball card only has one side on each, 2 sides, the picture and the stats.
Well, no, but
and that's what you get.
No, wait, hang on a second. If you're buying comics to read them, that's fine. That's how I did it in the early. Now I buy comics as sort of nostalgic investments, and so if I spend money on something, this is first Man Thing cover appearance, 3rd appearance overall, and if I sink money into these books, I'm not going to destroy them and destroy the value. So that's why
I know it's an investment. It's an investment.
Yeah. So I get it. It's kind of my nostalgia trip, but it's also an investment. And then if I want to read them, I've got like so many essentials I can read, the black and whites.
That's true.
And a lot of the books I read when I was a kid, so I've already read them.
So they're kind of like, they're like trophies, right? Like the Predator collects spines and skulls.
Exactly.
You just collect slabs.
He's out on a
you know?
tree holding up
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, screaming into the night.
Yeah.
Huh.
The
Well,
only,
I don't just buy slabs though. I've got like, my collection's not that big. It's about 1,500 books now, and because I sold everything post 1980, and so I have about 50 slabbed books and about 1,400 non-slabbed books. So it's not like, you know, but if I spend a couple $100 or more on a book, I want to make sure the grade is correct so that I don't end up losing money on it. That's so, you know, so I buy the slabs.
I like the smell of the vanillin, the misprinting. Again, going back to the crunch, dude. Like just
until you buy one that just smells like cigarette smoke. That's happening.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. Well, there's some originals out there that smell like cigarette smoke. Like if you ever go and look through originals at a convention, you can tell who was a smoker, like the penciler or the inker. But
push them by,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I was a background assistant for Steve Mitchell. He was a heavy smoker. So when I get pages from him, it's like, oh,
nicotine.
Hang him up on the clothesline to air him out.
That's a beauty.
Yeah, see, look at this. No, I picked this up at a convention just from a beat up pile, so I could put it in my spinner rack. And so, yeah, I mean, I read them.
But I love that dull sheen that they used to have on those covers.
Yeah, that Dr. Doom by Kirby.
I'll tell you guys, there is something that I miss about newsprint that has nothing to do with nostalgia and everything to do with interpretation. You know, like when you're looking at newsprint, there's sort of a painterly quality to it because there's the bleed, the line art bleeds, the colors bleed. You know, you look at an old Barry Smith comic when he colored it himself, he knew what was going to happen when it printed on newsprint, and it created this beautiful tapestry of color and light. Whereas it, you know, like, for example, I used to be a huge, and I say used to because I used to be a huge Todd McFarlane fan, big time, right?
Gary recreated this. Sorry, I'm listening to you.
Yeah,
Dave, Gary recreated
but the thing is when he was colored by Steve Oliff, I liked it because that early computer coloring, 92, 93, when Haberlin came along, and I love Haberlin, but Haberlin really juiced it up over at Top Cow, and he was putting effects that nobody had seen, and everybody jumped on that. And then all of a sudden it became very slick and effects heavy, and everybody wanted pristine razor thin lines and clean glossy everything. And all of a sudden, you know, the art still looks cool, but it doesn't, I don't know, I don't feel as immersed as I did. And it might just be because of we as comic book readers are participating as storytellers ourselves with stuff in between the gutter, but also the interpretation of what's happening in the panel. Like I've seen clean reprints of artwork that I loved and was like, wow, that rendering sucks, you know. but in newsprint, it held up great.
Yep,
that's
very true. Yeah, you didn't notice that stuff in the newsprint that, you know, like you said, you'd look and go, wow, that's some really sloppy inking, but it didn't look that way when I read it.
It's like HDTV, man. The scan lines were very forgiving. You know, makeup looked good. Now you can see the cake of the makeup.
Do you you remember when the Baxter paper came out and it was all the rage, like in the early 80s?
Yeah. Wolverine Spider-Man was the first Baxter book that I ever bought, or Spider-Man Wolverine.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was the first one I ever bought. Yeah. And I know Titans was on Baxter, but I wasn't a DC guy.
Yeah, I was working for DC, living in New York at the time when Baxter first started coming out, and DC had a heck of a time trying to figure out how to print,
like the calibration,
the color and everything. It was like every issue that would come out, they would analyze it and say, well, let's not do that again. And it was it was really interesting that they were inventing the wheel as they went. They really didn't know what they were doing.
I love that. My friend who passed a couple years ago in July, Gabriel Soro, he used to work at Quebecor, and he was actually my print guy for Black Flag, and you know him anyway. Good friend. He was the liaison for DC Comics in '86 when they did Dark Knight. So he helped select the paper and get all the printing, all that stuff settled, which is kind of a chemistry in itself. You know, like you have to really know variables in it. You know, now with digital printing and how they can do print on demand and things like that, it's not. The only crazy things that happens, like, I don't know, like a needle can get stuck in binding and break. You know?
Oh,
Stuff like
there's
that.
bad
Like
printers out
that?
there. Don't worry about
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm talking
Copies of
about.
this?
Yes, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Crazy. And the fact that no one even checked, bothered to look. It's amazing.
That's
to me.
infuriating. That's
Yeah.
the part of it that bothers me.
But
You
here's
know?
here's a bigger question for you. Did either any of you guys ever get where is it? Look at these pillow covers with Thor
Nah.
and Spider-Man on them for $1.50, plastic pillows.
No,
Ew.
that did not appeal to me at all.
I
A
would love to
plastic
see
pillow.
one of these things and see what they actually look like.
It's
Did
probably
anyone ever get any of that stuff?
I don't know. I would love any of those T-shirts, but the pillow, that's probably disintegrated by now.
I had
What year
the
is that? 67?
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably. Let's see.
I
I
had
wasn't
the
alive.
sweatshirt that was "Here Comes the Incredible Hulk," and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like, and on the back
It said "There
back
goes."
view of him, and he was pulling this like little toy.
Yeah, 1969 is when this issue,
69,
particular issue,
okay.
came out.
Yeah, I wasn't alive. I wasn't even a glint in my father's eye.
Well, I was only 5, so I wasn't even aware of this stuff. But it's like when that stuff shows up, like the old Kirby posters sets they used to do, they're a fortune if you can find
Oh,
them.
I
Because I
bet.
just don't, you got to imagine
Well,
nobody like bought those, and the people that
that's
did
it.
didn't take
That's-
care of them.
That's the idea of collectability, though, because I know tons of people now that are like kicking themselves because there's an aftermarket for really VHSs that are in incredible shape, or like Nintendo magazine in mint condition, because of the same reason. Oh, it's just a box for this VHS, whatever. Like, so finding one in box, pristine, whatever. They grade them too. There's slabs for video games. There's slabs for toys.
Dude, those early video games, the ones with like Super Mario or whatever, those like they had like, what do they call them? The prototypes or the test ones. Like a fortune. Like
Oh,
they,
yeah.
I think the bottom fell out of that market, though.
What's that?
I think the bottom fell out of that market, though. There was like it was going crazy for a while, and then it sort of refigured itself. But I mean, it's still valuable. It's still rare.
Yeah, that's the thing with anything, though. It's like NFTs. Oh my God, everybody's so excited. Everybody wants to get involved. Oh, that's fucking lame.
I remember I was stacking toy shelves when the Lego started doing like IPs like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, I did get a couple of boxes, but I opened them all up. And I just thought, what's the point of buying this? It's so mass produced. And by that time, everyone was already collecting everything. So I thought, what would be the point? Now that stuff is worth a fortune.
Yeah, I go, why did I open it?
I bought in 2010, I bought for my stepson's birthday, I bought the re-release of the Star Wars, which I call it the AT-AT, but some people call it AT-AT, but the AT-AT, the walker from Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
I bought myself one, and I never opened it, and it's in my garage and it's sitting there, and I went and spec'd it out, and it's like $800 now. And I'm like, I guess I better not ever open that.
Yeah.
Christopher Brown says, Mr. Lopresti, Wraith is an awesome character. Dan Fraga is excellent as always. Mr. Martin, I saw your line art project and it looks really, literally awesome. Mr. Bancroft, I just saw the Lucent and I will be looking into it. Looks like fun.
Please do. Thank you.
I'm going to say something, and before you cut me off, Michael Bancroft, let me finish my sentence. I was laying in bed the other night thinking about you.
Pause.
Go on.
And the idea of lucid dreaming.
Do tell.
and the idea of lucid dreaming, because what I find happens, like I have ebb and flows of sometimes I drink and sometimes I don't. And right now I'm not drinking. And I find that when I'm not drinking, it takes me a little bit longer to go to sleep. And I find myself seeing like crazy shit with my eyes closed, not in the same way like when we're imagining stuff, but I still want to get into a full understanding of lucid dreaming. You know what I mean?
There's more. When I first got into it, there was not. You couldn't find anything really other than really dodgy websites. There was no. Now there's whole YouTube communities like this. They get on streams
And
they
they're
talk
legit.
about- yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Can you point me in the
Lucid-
right direction? Because you know, a lot of times when it there becomes all this stuff, there's like a degree of bullshit, and then there's it's
people
kind of
read
like
into it.
the professionals, right? Like you know that's gold. You know when you go to the professionals, it's gold. Do you know what I'm saying? So
No,
I want to
don't
find
all
the gold.
truth, baby. It's all truth.
I don't watch anyone specifically, but yeah, you're gonna run into some people who think they're the reincarnation of Shiva and they're doing astral projection and stuff. But I mean, this is a real phenomena. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
People have been doing it since forever.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from personal experience, I used
Yeah.
to be really into it. You can induce a lucid dream from a waking state.
Yeah.
You can enter a dream
Yeah.
from being awake. And
The
it's
thing
crazy.
that I'm finding really just wacky is for about 5 or 6 years now, my dreams are all in the same place, but
Yeah, I
not
get
like
that a lot too. Like
don't think of it like a single house. Think of it as a city. And I know where stuff is. I know where the casino is. I know where the boat is. I know where the hotel is. I know where but the weird thing is it's my hometown, but it's not. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's a very weird thing, and there's this repeated thing where my technology won't work. Like I'm trying to get like the phone to work, and my address book won't work. Like, and the other thing is, I have to get somewhere, and I can't get all my luggage packed. Every time I try to do it, there's more. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really bizarre.
Sounds like now that would be a perfect place for you to start training yourself to when you see these things again and again to remember that you're dreaming.
Yeah.
And then start to take some control over what's happening and do some exploration in there.
Is this like Inception? Is that what
it
we're
feels
doing?
like?
I remember
You
when
know what?
Inception came out, I was like, "Oh God, is it going to be anything like my story?" But it wasn't. So it was
Sometimes, like especially with given the things happening in the news today, like when you found out North Korea's soldiers are in Russia right now, and like why are they there? All the stuff with the election, you're like, this is fucking loony. Or AI, like the progression in AI, and you see that some of the best robotics are coming out of China. They just released one that actually has a human gait when it walks. It doesn't have that robot sort of thing. It saunters, and they have some that are kind of Westworldy that have a musculature, not so much servos and things, but like that stuff. I feel like we're living in the Twilight Zone, and sometimes I wonder if this is the dream and that's reality, and I'm waking up to this. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so bizarre.
sometimes I feel like we're living in Black Mirror.
Kevin's got it.
That's
We're all a
what my
bunch of
wife
hippies.
said.
You guys are a bunch of hippies.
Yeah.
No, my wife said
Dan.
Black Mirror. That's exactly right.
Dan, I have a foolproof way of testing that. Just give yourself a nice slap.
Yeah, in the dream.
No, right now. Oh, you felt that, right?
Yeah.
And it hurt a
But I
little
feel
bit.
things in my dream
You're
too,
awake,
man.
dude.
No, you know what,
Man, it
man?
was
When I go to the
entertaining.
bathroom in my dream, I go to the bathroom in my bed.
Well, I was going to say that
you don't want to
when
do that.
I started
I know.
controlling my dreams when I was a kid, and it was the bathroom dream that if I had to go to the bathroom in my dream, I would wet the bed.
That's how I was until I started
after
pinching
several-
myself.
Yeah, I'd pee myself, and after several times, then when I'd have to go to the bathroom in my dream, I'd say, oh, wait a minute. If I go to the bathroom, I'm going to wet the bed, and I would wake up and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So
See,
at a point, I
had a
knew I was
similar-
dreaming,
Yeah.
and so I wouldn't do that anymore. And
We
so
grew up-
after that, I started playing around with that, and
My dad was a
controlling.
miser. Still, you know.
What was that?
And my dad was he's still alive, but not so much. But when we were kids, he was a miser. Like when it was cold, the heater wouldn't be turned on. It would be put on more blankets, dummy. You know, like that sort of thing. But you know, when it's like 40 degrees, you know, not under the blankets, you go, I gotta pee. Oh no, I'm not getting up. You know.
Right.
And it's like you're like 10 years old, and then you have that dream, and you piss yourself. So that would happen to me. But what I started doing when I was awake is I would pinch my leg to make sure I wasn't asleep. You know what I mean? And so if I pinch my leg in the dream and there's nothing happening, I know don't pee. Yeah. We digress. Wraith of God 3, 30-day closeout.
In depth.
This is all your digression, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Kevin Wolf says I'm describing the difference between sativa and indica. Pretty accurate. That's
Tippy
pretty
Tail
accurate.
McKitty says you just have to quit drinking fluids 3 hours before you go to bed. That'll solve your problem.
That's
Glitch says,
difficult.
Pissy Pants Martin. See, now, Gary, you're going to.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna tell you just to take the pissy pants light off of Gary. I shit my pants in 5th grade. I did.
Where were you?
School.
Were you at school?
I was at school. I had food poisoning the day before,
Well,
and
that's decent
I had
excuse.
got sent to school, and it was almost the end of the day, and I said to my teacher, Mr. Huckinen, I need to go to the bathroom. He says, the bell's going to ring in like 5 minutes. And I said, okay. Well, you're watching the clock go, and it's
Going backwards.
and I'm just like sweating, and I'm feeling the rumble in the Bronx downstairs. And I'm just like, Mr. Huckinen, please. And he's like, no. And I said, please. I wasn't at school yesterday because I had food poisoning, man. He's like, sure. Go ahead then. And
I'm
yeah,
prairie
I said,
dogging it.
no, I
don't like
didn't even, I wish I knew that term at the time. So I go running, and I'm clenching my little butt cheeks so hard, and I'm running, and it feels as if the finger of God is going like this out of my asshole, and I start feeling a hot heat under like at my underpants, and I start hearing this blap 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 like someone's following me. Mind you, I'm still clenching, and I look, and there's a trail of shit flying behind me as I'm running. I'm still freaking out. I run. I make it to the bathroom. You remember elementary school? They didn't let you close the doors. They were kind of stalls that just sit. That you sit and take a shit. I pulled down my pants. I exploded all over the sides, the back. It was like a brown peacock tail. And then the bell rang.
Oh,
And that's how
I've
you
got
were
it.
named Frega-Boom.
So you
No,
got
yeah, I wish. That's it. No, but yeah, I had shit up my back, down my legs.
oh,
It was horrible. So
oh, wow. Thank
There you
you, Dan. Appreciate that.
sorry, Paul Taylor. He's like too much
Love
detail.
to get the
Just let
phone
you
call
know.
as the parent of this child.
Oh.
You need
Yeah.
to come and clean up after your child.
Woo.
It was horrible. This was 1983.
Well,
Wraith of God 3, everyone.
I can't come up with a decent transition, but
then there's no, Aaron, you're
we're
missed
here
a segue.
for,
Yeah. What are
we're
you
here
going to do
for
with
the
that?
30-day closeout of Wraith of God, Fear Hollow. And I can guarantee you, whatever you read in this book will not be as terrifying as the story that Dan just told. So, but it's a 64-page story of the Wraith and Esther going to a place called Cranestown in New England, where where the Wraith 20 years before had faced off with the Headless Horseman, and he has returned along with the witch who summoned him, along with an old villain that's now reappearing and maybe pulling the strings to all of this madness. You do not
wait a
want to miss
minute.
this issue, folks. You have 4 cover options. You have the Wraith of God, Fear Hollow number 3A, version A right there. The version B is the EC Comics tribute cover. Cover C is the 1972 Marvel Retro cover version. And then, of course, the great Chris Stevens did a painted cover for this comic book. So you have all 4 options. You can get all 4. You can just get the one you like the best. Get in there and back. When we hit 100K, we're going to throw in a backup story by David Williams.
And it's
I wrote
beautiful.
it. David drew it. Very cool looking stuff here. We'll wait till we get closer to 100 before I put too much detail into this. And you can get the Wraith Nouveau art print, signed and numbered, limited to 500. Once they're gone, they're gone. The Wraith of God Roughs Volume 3. This has the layouts, 48 pages of page layouts to the graphic novel, so you can kind of get a behind the scenes look.
Hold on. This is what I wanted you to scroll up to, but you're already on it.
Yes.
That pumpkin in the foreground seems very foreshadowing to me.
He's about ready to eat the horse.
No.
What are you getting
Don't
at?
you have a character called like a pumpkin character?
Oh, Lord Pumpkin?
Yeah.
Well, see, Dan, if you had read Wraith of God 2 Blood Hunters, there's a little hint
I
at
haven't
that.
read it yet.
There's a garbage
You know
man.
what?
There's a garbage man backup story in Blood Hunters, and it kind of hints at Lord Pumpkin. So
See?
there you go.
I will read it. I promise.
There you go. You can get a
Yeah.
shot glass, Dan. We have this is going to be a series of 6. This is the 4th in the series. There was a Wraith shot glass, the Garbage Man shot glass, the Kit Carter shot glass, and now the Nightclub, which is also a backup story in Blood Hunters. So there's 4 backup stories along with your Blood Hunters story in Wraith of God 2, which, if you missed out, you can order on this campaign, along with this set of 3 commemorative poker chips featuring Dale Keown's Werewolf and Wraith of God and Esther. There's number 1 second printing with a new cover, and then there's Blood Hunters, the wraparound cover. That's Wraith number 2 that you can also order. It has all those backup stories. Wraith of God 2 is actually 103 or 4 pages of story in it. So
it's huge. When I got it, I knew it was big.
It's heavy.
The question I have for you,
yeah,
even though this is a Wraith of God thing, is Kit Carter. Can people still pick up Kit Carter at all?
Well, technically, what I am going to do is once fulfillment is complete, they'll be listed. Whatever copies are left over are going to be listed on my website. But if you want to get it, you can contact me directly at aaron@aaronlopresti.com and say, hey man, how do I get a copy? And I will hook you up and just put you in with everybody else that's getting their book shipped. So
I want to see how my piece printed.
I could show you. You want to see?
I do, and get people that didn't get it to get it.
Yeah, this is only available in the hardcover.
I know. That's why I'm kicking myself.
Well, no, I'm going to send you a hardcover.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! I see it already below your name.
So Fraga sent me this, so you have to turn the book this way to.
Yeah, that printed nice, man.
And then there's Kelsey's.
Kelsey's is great.
These are a couple pieces that are in the book. I think there's 10 pieces in this gallery section.
Dan, did you color yours?
I did.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Thank you, man. I was aiming. What I try to do, if I do anything for the professionals, is I try to do something. Look at that, Gary. Good God, man. I try to do something that I know the boys will like. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And we just did this show on Andy's channel about high school, high school graduation. And what I found very interesting was that even though Art T. Baird, the oldest of us, and I are so far apart as far as our graduating years, I would have gone to school with Andy, and Andy would have gone to school with Billy, and Billy would have gone to school with Aaron, and Aaron would have gone to school with Graham, and Graham would have gone to school with Art. You know what I mean? Like there's a nice flow, which is really pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it was like we keep handing off the baton to the next class.
Yeah.
GJ Martinez, who has very good taste, says Kit Carter was one amazing book. I haven't laughed while reading a book in a very long time, and I enjoyed this book so much. Thanks, Aaron, for providing me with such excellent entertainment. Thank you, GJ Martinez from Texas. I appreciate that very much. Cullen says they didn't have school when Art was young.
They
It's
didn't.
true.
I think it's when he was tenured is when they.
I had an apprenticeship
where we
and
work from.
a master and apprentice.
Yeah. He is the Socrates of the group.
The Socrates.
Yeah, I got to do it in the Bill and Ted pronunciation. I know it's Socrates, but Socrates.
Socrates in the city. So we are, what are we at? $433 away from 55K right now. 6 hours
That's
left. Will
good.
I extend it? Probably, but you know.
We know you will.
That's kind of up to the backers, right?
That's right. Show me you love the book, and then I'll maybe extend it. Give you guys a little extra time.
A flurry of activity, then you say, well, I made enough. We can go on to the next project.
Yeah. Well, I'm nowhere near that. So
You have to get into the buying a Frazetta original territory.
Man, I don't think I could make enough money to buy a Frazetta original now. There was a time.
I have a Frazetta original. I have 2 Frazettas.
Well, wait a minute. Which ones do you have?
Paintings?
Huh?
Paintings?
They're not paintings. No, they're
Comic book
little
pages?
doodles. They're
Okay,
doodles.
yeah.
Yeah, but they're Frazettas nonetheless, just like this Buscema that I own. Look at that.
Ooh,
Oh, wow. Sheesh.
nice.
Yeah.
See, Gary's
It's
still
there.
bitter because he could have had a Frazetta original for $100 and he didn't do it.
What?
Just because they weren't going to. I called up the Frazettas. They were in the phone book
Uh-huh.
and called them up, and Ellie answered. And
Yeah.
so I asked about original art, and I said, "Do you have a catalog or something?" She said, "No, just send me $100 and I'll send you something." It's like, oh, back then I was in college. That was a lot of money for me back then.
Yeah, but still.
Still.
And you got to talk to the great
If I
Ellie.
would have been able to choose the piece, I would have done it. But not knowing.
I would have taken whatever, dude. Like I've got some Roy Krenkel pieces that are just like big boobied women. I prefer some swords and dragons, or dinosaurs and such. But I'll take it. You know what I mean? The man touched
Wizard
it.
Sleeves, who's Gary's favorite guy, he confounds Gary on a regular basis. He says, "Hey, Ron, how's the hardcover reprint going? I hope they are doing an extra special job. They're supposed to ship out tomorrow to me, so I should have them early next week." And again, for those of you who don't know, the entire run, except for 24 books, had the spine was destroyed because the stitching needle broke off in actually one of my copies. And they went through and tore up every single spine in every single book. So I had to get
the one with the needle is extra collectible, right?
Yeah.
They still bound it after that?
I don't know how anybody didn't notice this, but I had to check every book. I had 750 copies to see if there were any salvageable copies. And I opened up one of them, and up sprang this metal needle from the stitching machine, right? Just went boink, just like that. And I was like, how do they not check these? Wouldn't you at least, if you ran on a machine, wouldn't you at least check like the first couple from the middle, and then one at the end to make sure there was no problems? Every single issue was tore up to a different degree. Some of them barely noticeable. This just has a little tear in it right here. You can see it right there. It looks like there's a thread or something stitched right there, but that's actually a tear in both sides of the paper.
Why is it signed and numbered already?
Because I was signing them, and I looked down and went, "What the heck is that?"
Ah.
So
What if they're like putting little crack rocks in there, and you're like just the middleman for?
And I didn't even know it.
You didn't even know you're selling crack.
Disturbing their
Well,
entire
I got a pallet full of books
distribution
out
system.
there. Somebody
Yeah.
would have come checking like, hey, did you get that shipment of books?
You get
I'm like-
you get that Kit Carter? You got any of that Kit Carter?
Exactly. So yeah, it was pretty, I was pretty pissed, as you can imagine. And how the story goes is I got on the phone with my rep and I said, this needs to be turned around immediately. And I'm not talking 6 weeks from now. I want it next week. And so they said, well, send the books so we can figure out what happened. So I sent 2 boxes of books so they could examine the damage and everything. And they're like, yeah, the stitching needle broke off. We'll have them for you next week. I said, great. Well, next week rolls around, which was last week. And I get to my rep. I go, okay, what's up with the books? Well, the needle, they didn't have an extra needle, so they had to order it internationally to get it. Like, I assume it's coming from like China or someplace.
They
Why
had,
don't you should have sent it back to them.
Yeah, it's like
You
they
should've
didn't
just-
have any extra.
right.
You should have sent it back to them, Aaron.
Right. Here, yeah, I have one.
I have your needle.
Yeah,
I know. He said, here it is.
And I
Do it.
still in America.
So then what happened was they said, okay, so it'll be done this week, which is now this week. So, cause I had to wait to get the part, from overseas. And, as of Monday, no, pardon me, as of Tuesday, now see the gallery section that we showed, this is what they call a tipped in section in the book, right?
Like a tipping plate.
Right. So what they did was this doesn't have that. So this has the exact same guts as this has, but this has the tipped in gallery in addition to it. So they were tipping in the gallery section in this book on Tuesday of this week. So unless the stitching needle breaks again, they should ship out on Friday, and they're expediting the shipping. So we will get these probably Monday or Tuesday at the latest, and then I'll start shipping the hardcover orders out. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. And so while you're waiting, back Wraith of God 3. We have an enormous audience right now watching. I appreciate you guys also. If you'd hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done that, so that we can grow this channel to epic proportions.
And Aaron has started the artwork with page number 1. And if you continue to back, he'll be able to start
Page number 2. Yeah. See, there's some of it partially inked. We're getting there. And
Gary and I are hanging out in the same place.
Yeah, you kick in, a little extra money. Aaron will ink in the border lines.
that's right. Remember when they first started doing the letterers used to, that was part of their deal, right? And then when they went to digital lettering, the inker got charged with
Yep.
ruling in or inking in the panel lines. And so you get an extra $5 or $10.
And the sound effects.
Yeah. And then they took that away from you, though. It was like they started going, oh, you get extra money for.
I never got extra money for that.
Oh, really? Well, were you at DC?
I was both.
Well, Randy
DC,
Emerlin claims that he got an extra. They gave him an extra $5 a page.
I asked for it. They said, "No way, man."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, he said they took it away. When they first started doing it, they given it to him, and then they took it away and said, "No, you're not."
Plus, if you're inking a non-lettered page, you're inking a lot more artwork.
Right. That's the other thing
that has the word balloons.
Mm-hmm.
So you're inking more. You're doing the border lines, and you're inking the sound effects.
Yeah, and you're getting paid
the same.
Yeah. Just piling the work
on. What about those pages that are like, lame? That's like, oh, just 2 figures. Yeah, I'm out. Like
those are the pages you celebrate.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it was. But the thing I used to hate is when I started, they were still lettering on the boards, and I did get this one letterer. He erased like half the pencil drawings around his word balloons. I was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Well, the opposite of that, John Workman used to do this, where he would pencil in the lettering guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
and his guidelines were like twice as big as what he needed. So all these lines would be on top of the artwork that I couldn't erase, because you try to erase the guidelines and you're erasing the pencil art underneath it.
Well, do you then ink over the top and then try to erase them? I guess that's all you could do, right?
Right. And you try to erase a pencil line that's been ruled. It's, dug into the paper. It's very difficult. And when you have, like 20 lines per balloon that you're trying to erase, it's like, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Now
Yeah.
I don't like John Workman's lettering anymore. I'm never looking at Thor again.
Well,
Making
it's
it
just
work.
one example that came to mind was John Workman, but there were several that did that, where they, instead of just putting the guidelines on the balloon, he would do it really quickly and it would spill over into the artwork.
Yeah, a lot of stuff at Extreme was paste up. They paste them.
Well, yeah,
on.
but you were just, that was the digital age, right? That
Yeah.
was coming in.
But
Right then.
but they weren't doing digital lettering. We still had Kurt Hathaway and his assistant, and they'd do it by hand, and X-Acto knife cut out the balloons and pop them down.
Yeah, that's where, when I started, part of that was going on, where they were sometimes you'd get the pasted on balloons, and other times they would just do it on the board, but they were certainly transitioning to that, because a lot of guys were doing digital lettering on their computer. Then they would cut the balloons out and glue them on the board.
Yeah.
So it was,
I only own a few pages of original art from comics themselves, and one of them that I have is Eric Larson inked by Scott Williams, and it's got Ken Brusniak's lettering on the board itself, and there's just something about that as
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
that's
awesome.
that's the one thing that's sort of missing, for at least in my opinion, and then maybe it's because I'm older, but it's like when you're collecting art, or you buy an original piece of comic book art, if you buy something new, you're getting this art, but you're not getting the balloon, right?
No.
And that, when you get that older stuff, you got the balloon on there, and that feels more like, it's like buying a newspaper strip art, right? And it has the balloons on it and everything, and it's like, that's, you're getting the whole thing. But I guess a lot of people like it now because you don't have the balloons obscuring any of the artwork. But to me, that's part of the charm of it, of owning the originals.
I had in the very beginning, when we were developing the Pineapple Perception concept, I was originally going to have Ken Brusniak letter on my board. But what I realized quite quickly is that if you want to do foreign editions and things like that, all of a sudden you're running into another mess of having to, take the old stuff out, put new stuff in, and the foreign editions that do that never look good unless it's the new stuff where there's a letterer coming in and basically mimicking the placement and such. So it is a hard decision to make, but one that was more of a practical thing.
Well, I toyed with the idea of like thinking about having Wraith of God lettered on the board, but number one, you got to find someone who'll do it, and there isn't very many guys.
And you can't change your script either.
Yep, that's the other thing.
But
I change it all the time.
Ken will do it. I know Orzakowski doesn't anymore. I got Orzakowski to letter something for me, and how a lot of times people do cover recreations or interpretations. One of my favorite Spider-Man covers is Amazing Spider-Man #2 with Vulture, Ditko, Vulture, and the Thinker.
Yeah.
And I started doing it, and I light boxed in pencil the lettering and stuff, but I knew for a fact that if I had lettered it myself, it would really look like shit, no matter how good the art was.
I do a lot of recreations, and I've been doing them for years, and I had to teach myself how to letter just
I
for
hired-
recreations.
Yeah, I hired Tom Orzakowski to do it. He did everything on it except for the webbing behind the amazing logo because he was like, "I'm not doing that." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." But yeah, that's that I have, and then I realized I'll probably never sell it because it's Orzakowski. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of those weird purists that, you know, it's like I might like a page because somebody did an assist on it, or, you know, or they lettered it or whatever. So I'm a big Orzakowski fan. Him and Lois did a lot of really great work.
Yeah.
Well, I did a recreation where I did the lettering on it, and it's, you know, it's not fantastic, but I don't think it's horrible. But maybe you guys might have a different opinion. So maybe I shouldn't show you, but I'm going to anyway.
The only time I've done lettering on a logo, I did it on 2 Bloodstrike covers, but I did the old McFarlane treatment where on one of my covers the characters were moving the logo, so it was like crunched rocks, and so if I messed up, it was texture. You know what I mean? Like it's just texture. And as long as it looks like a logo and I kind of illustrated around it. So I did that a couple times on my own covers, but yeah, I'm not a letterer at all.
I don't know.
Let's see what you got.
I don't know why I did this, but I just.
Well, see, that looks great.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic, dude. You even did the comics code. That's the only part that looks lame, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know.
I'm kidding, Aaron. I'm kidding. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, looks
Yeah.
great.
So
Cool.
I don't know what I was thinking, because I was like, this is not a particular cover that, you know, would people be lining up to buy, you know, but I just,
Well,
for
that's
some
the
reason,
thing,
wanted to do it. And so I did it, you know?
Yeah, that's saying
Yeah.
that when you do recreations, you have to balance of how much you want to do it because of your own personal memories of that particular piece of artwork, and how commercial it's going to be. Are other
Right.
people going to like it?
Right.
See,
And
I
this,
like
I threw caution to the wind on this one, and I don't know. I just did it, and then I was done with it, going, "Why did I just do this?" But
Yeah.
But see,
Well,
it's not
it's
that's not
very
a
cool.
recreation though. It's a it's a like,
right,
I
a
know what you're saying, Gary.
reinterpretation. It's
Yeah,
a
because like when Art Adams does like a famous cover, it looks like Art Adams drew it. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't copy the exact same pose or anything that Kirby had done, but
Sleep good.
you know, I did a Spider-Man 14
buddy.
for my son that had so much lettering on it.
That's
It almost
so
killed
cool.
me. But yeah, he was happy with a Christmas present. So anyway,
Sure.
there you go. It is for sale, folks. So anyway,
Your son's Christmas present, $25 confirmed.
no, it's not his Christmas present. That's strange.
Because that one, $25 confirmed.
There's a lot of covers I'd like to recreate for more than $25 though. But the trick is, you know, Arthur Adams can get away with it because he's Arthur Adams, but you don't want to pick a cover that was well drawn to begin with.
Right.
Right. Like a really cool
Yeah.
Buscema cover. You're like,
Right. You have to pick
you're
a
gonna make
crappy
it-
one.
it's going to look worse.
Yeah,
you gotta
you have
find
to
a
pick a
little-
crappy one that people remember fondly.
Right. That maybe
Or-
Kirby or Ditko didn't do quite as good a job on it as they could
Or
have.
how about become Aaron Lepresti? You know what I'm saying?
As far as I know, only one person has been successful at doing that.
Yeah. And only
How does one become
only
Aaron
moderately.
Lepresti?
No, but what I'm saying is, like, you can't read the label when you're in the jar. Aaron, you're amazing, and you have fans, and you can't like. That's one of the things that I get caught up on is like I'm a super fan and I get kind of geeky, but then I always have to like back up a little bit and go, wait a second, I've been doing this for 33 years. No, almost 34 years. I'm a peer. I'm a fan, but I'm also, I do what that person does too, and I've been doing it a long time. So be Aaron Lepresti. If I'm going to do it, I'm doing Dan Frega. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Someone just said
Isn't
that
that-
Terminator doesn't have wristbands. I don't think he did on this cover.
But he's got the ankle wings.
Did
Yeah, I
you
got
guys
connected.
have the same experience? It's like when you're starting out in your careers and your work is out there, and then you're like at a show, and some artist that you've admired for years and years and years comes up to you and says, "Hey, man, I like your work."
Yes.
And if you realize that that's somebody that you admire
Yeah. Or the other flip of it,
sees you as a peer, and
there's that when
is
Graham
that
Nolan
a
had that
weird
happen.
transition?
It's strange, but it's also, I don't know. I had a weird happenstance at Terrificon in 2019 where this sort of newer artist, he's been around for a while, but he's new compared to me. This guy named Ryan Stegman, real talented.
Oh yeah,
guy.
I've inked him.
Yeah, real talented guy. He came
Yeah.
up to me and he told me, "Did you know that Black Flag, that black and white Black Flag, was the first comic I ever bought?" And I was like, "What? Like, what?" Like that to me, you go, "What the fuck? Like, dude, you're so fucking good. Like, why are you talking to me?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think who was it that Graham Nolan was it Ramita that knew who Graham Nolan was? I forgot who it was when Graham told the story, but it was kind of like, oh shit. Like you're saying, Gary, if I don't know, Michael Golden said to me, "I'm digging your stuff, man," I'd probably go 5th grade and shit my pants.
I was going to say, you're going to reenact your 5th grade.
Yeah.
I gotta bounce, guys. I gotta get back to work.
What
Thanks for
time
having
is
me
it
on,
there, Michael?
and good luck with the rest of the closeout.
Hey, thank
What
you.
time
What
is
time
it?
is it? What time is it there?
12:30
Tomorrow.
7.
p.m. on a Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 12:30 Friday. Okay.
Lunchtime.
Well, thanks for
Okay,
dropping
so
in, man. It was nice talking to you.
You're 13 hours ahead then of me.
Could be.
No,
Not
sorry.
sure.
No, 15 hours. 15
I don't know.
hours. Because it's 9:30 here. So +3 plus another 12, right?
Don't ask me to do maths on stream. I'm terrible at arithmetic.
15 hours, baby. You're
I'll
in the
take your
future.
word for it. Yeah, I'm in the future.
That's right.
All right,
Good
guys.
seeing you,
I'll
man.
see you around.
Really
Hey, Michael,
good seeing
thanks,
you.
man.
You
Take
too,
care.
man. It's been
Hey,
too
Michael.
long. All right,
Yeah.
see you guys.
That was cool that he was able to come on.
Yeah,
Heck
man.
yeah.
It's just
I love
I
hanging
remember I used to make phone calls to Australia because I was doing some card art for a company in Australia, and you'd have to wait till you do the math and go, okay, wait a minute, when is it 3 in
You
the
got
afternoon
18
in
hours.
Australia
You got
tomorrow? It
18
was like
hours.
it was like 9 in the morning. You'd have to call, and it'd be 3 in the afternoon the next day there, or something weird.
Yeah,
like
so you have to rewind six hours on your own time. So if you wanted to talk to them at noon tomorrow, you call them at 6 o'clock your time.
Right. Yeah. It was just weird because I'd always sit there and do the math and
The
very-
early Dark Horse days, when Dark Horse was still running from that old video store on Sandy Boulevard. You remember that, Aaron? Before Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
They sponsored some Australian artists to come out, and they stayed for about a week, and that's when I was sharing a studio with Steve Mattson, and we hung out with them for a while. So after they went home, a couple of weeks later, the phone rings, and I look at I'm in bed asleep. I look at the clock. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh boy, who's calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning? I pick up the phone. Yes. And I hear, who's stronger? The Incredible Hulk or the Mighty Thor? Like, you Australian bastard. You know what time it is?
Fuck, man.
Oh, wake up at 3 a.m. to answer that question.
Yep.
Oh.
Tell him he's going to be Mighty Thor if he calls you again at that
That's
time in the
right.
morning.
Well, it's interesting the projects. There was so much going on in the 90s with Image, and then Marvel and DC trying to keep up with Image, and then people thinking, oh man, there's bucks in comics, and so you had like Topps Comics and, Valiant. And then what was
Lightning.
what was the second Jim Shooter company? Broadway, was it?
Broadway, yeah.
Broadway. And so it was like, and we were always scrambling looking for, a gig, and but there was a lot of options too at the time. And it was funny that you could actually make a living for a couple of months just doing cards, because everybody was doing cards. If you could just line up enough. I used to get a ton of work from Image to do trading cards.
And they were way more cost effective than doing comics.
Yeah, and you could do them on I'd always do them on 11 by 17 so I could sell them for more money. I mean, always
you would do a card on 11 by 17.
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
What the heck? Man, I was drawing them actual size.
You never did that? I did them. Yeah. I did them huge.
Okay. No, I would flip 11 by 17 over and horizontally and do 2.
Okay.
I was doing one card on one big sheet because I figured, especially if you got Fairchild or somebody like that, you're like, okay.
Oh, you were doing the Wildstorm sets.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they did a bunch. They did a Prophet set. They did I don't know who did the Spawn set. It might have been Topps because I did a few Spawn cards too, but that's cool, man. You got to do the Wildstorm stuff.
Well, it was
Tippy Tail says EVS is live, by the way.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Let me see. Because I've been trying to keep an eye on him and I don't see where's his thing at. Oh, I wonder if he sent me a link.
Between his legs.
Let me check real quick here and see if he sent me a link. What is going on here? My internet is. Bear with me here a second.
Oh, he just went live a second ago, is what people are saying. See, oh
yeah, just 5 minutes ago. Okay, yeah. There's the link. So. Well, maybe I'll take this moment to go to the bathroom so I don't have to do it in bed or in my pants.
Oh, snap.
Running to the bathroom while you're in a dream.
I know. And this is reality, right?
Yeah.
Let me before I close this out,
let's check it out.
Let's get a final
see, now they're starting to call you Pissy Pants Lopez.
All right, so we're at let's see, 54,567. I think let's see here.
Refresh that baby.
Oh, 54, almost 55. Nice.
Well done.
Look at that, almost 6 backers away from 700. And that's what you brought up earlier, Dan, was that the money and all that kind of stuff, you can say, okay, that's great, but it's how many backers, because you want readers.
Yes.
Right. And so it's on the first 2 Wraith of Gods, I had, 2,700 orders. Now that's not all individual readers, but I probably had close to 2,000 readers. And that's, that's what I want to get to on this. We're at, almost 700, but, I'd like to get this back up and keep those reader numbers the same, regardless of how much money that actually generates, because you want people reading your book.
That doesn't always work, because I tried donating some of my books to a library, and then the thought that all those people were reading my books for free just, kind of pissed me off.
Well, the hope is the more people read it, then they share with their friends, and then you have more customers. See, that's kind of the idea.
It didn't work.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up then and head over to EVS's stream here in a few minutes. So, Dan, thank you for coming by, man. I greatly appreciate it. Gary,
I might stop by EVS's for a couple minutes. People
there you go.
Keep asking me why have you on EVS?
Yeah, I know. Everybody's always asking, where's Fraga? Where's Fraga?
Yeah, I'll come in for a little bit. I can't stay long, but I want to support you, buddy.
There you go. Hey, I
So,
appreciate it, guys. Thank you
yeah.
so much. Thank you guys in
Yeah.
the chat, man. It was we've been doing this for over 3 hours, which I can't even believe. It went by so fast. But thanks, guys, in the chat for joining us. Please, again, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. And you'll see Gary and me, and David Williams also was here earlier on Graybeards on Wednesday. So we'll see you guys soon, one way or another. But thank you again, and we'll see you over at EVS's stream. Good night, all. At
Hey,
least
guys.
temporarily.